time to get activated, gamers, because you're listening to the GigaBoots Game of the Year 2024 featuring Dan and Bob Video Games.
Bob, do you smell something burning?
Think so?
Chris, what part?
Can I AI generate a stable industry?
And Dr. Agro.
Whoops, the physical boundaries of a finite universe.
This part features outrageous categories such as
the 7th Gen Game Award, Most Hideous Creature, Coolest Thing in a Game, and Biggest Jobber.
So grab your Nuggies and Mountain Dew, gamers. Sit back in your race car chair and get ready, because the GigaBoots Game of the Year 2024 Podstravaganza starts right now! Yippee!
Welcome back again to GigaBoots Game of the Year 2024, the categories part 2. We've got the full crew. I would introduce them, but that fancy intro just did. So let's get to it. Our first category, a very sleek, small one, but equally important as any other, the PS2 Game Award. The nominees are Bakeru, Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, Slitterhead, and Ys 10 Nordics. We need to hear some arguments for why these games are so PS2. Bob, I believe you brought Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess?
Yes.
Explain.
It's a weird action game that has all sorts of other elements going on, being a tower defense game. It even has a PS2 style, we made a specialty save screen for you. It just is a bizarre thing we don't make anymore and feels like of that era when things were more experimental.
Yeah.
And heck, even just being an action game, it kind of is a PS2 game.
Yeah, you said it was a weird action game, and I'm like, nailed it. We barely make action games anymore, let alone weird one. On a highly related note, Slitterhead is a weird PS2 hack and slashy action game with horror elements and the gimmick of possession.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that keeps it from being the most PS2 is its gimmick is taken from a PSP game. Which fidelity-wise is lesser than PS2, but also it came out later.
Right, so it's a weird, it's a little muddy.
Yeah, because the mechanic ideas, they didn't have enough time to evolve past, oh God, why do I always forget the name of the third-person shooter that innovated cover gameplay?
Kill Switch.
Kill Switch. Every time my brain's like, dot hack. Wait, no. Point blank, no. They didn't have enough time to innovate these other mechanics to layer on top.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing that works against it, but it has budget narrative cutscenes where you see a 3D model with cool effects on it as it talks via text because there's no voicing. It plays the same 3 grunts over and over for the characters and that's then a giant paragraph pops up each time. Also, there's not much money, so we're recycling a lot of the same content over and over. So the scope of it feels very PS2.
That almost feels more Vita to me, but
that's fair. The Vita did that too. It's very Shinobi Do 2.
Right.
This definitely has more levels than that, but that's not hard.
It's it had more than 3?
Yeah, I was like, Shinobi Do 2, do you have 6 levels? It's so few.
It is.
And then they just, this guy's standing over there and he's totally for this faction anyways, go kill him. Cool. Who brought in Ys 10 Nordics?
That must have been me. In the first 2 hours, there's a scene that's identical to a God of War 1 set piece. It proceeds at the same pace. The physics are kind of identical. And frankly, it's hard for me to not look at the ship stuff in that game and not think, this is a PS2 game. If they tried to make Black Flag on the PS2, this is what it would look like.
Uh-huh.
It's true. It is so true. And I think that's everything but Bakeru.
Uh-huh. I brought in Bakeru because it feels like one of those off-brand 3D platformers we would get back on the PS2. It's a mini Ninjas sort of game. The mechanics aren't as solid as you see in a full, Sony-made or Nintendo-made platformer. It's just a little loose and still has the elements of those, though.
Yeah, the scope is too big in the level designs for it to feel exactly like an N64 game.
Right, it's definitely too big for that. It might even be a little too big for PS2, but it's in that exact range where it's like, it passes, I feel. Similar with Seas 10, like, I don't think I've seen anything that actually did achieve a big ocean like that.
But it could have
happened.
It could have happened.
It could have happened.
It feels like it could have happened, especially with a couple load transitions.
Right, and then, like, compare that to like a GTA. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Man, I guess we should do 2 votes since we have so few nominees. I'll go first. My first vote is on Slitterhead. You know, honestly, I would consider it. I would reconsider and vote for Some Things Over it, if not for the narrative told through sound clips going, and then a paragraph of text popping up, which really did take me back.
Right.
The rest of it really does have that PS2 scope. It's the scale of the city's like 3 streets cut multiple times on the other axis, but they try to make it feel bigger. Also, maybe some of the fidelity is a little reminiscent. And I guess for the next one, I'm gonna go with these 10 Nordics. It really does have. How do I put this? It looks like an area from Sword of Etheria almost expanded out to be seamless.
It kind of does.
Yeah. Like there's a certain exact fidelity to it geometrically and in other ways that makes me go, absolutely. This isn't how Ys looked on the PS2.
No.
But it looks like a PS2 game. Next, I guess we'll go to Bob.
I'm going to throw one on Kunitsugami. That's basically what I say when I want more PS2 games. Like, it's very small scale, and it's an action game with some weird mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And on, I'm going for Ys 10. It's like, it's so PS2-y here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's, you know, it really says something that, like, you could see Slitterhead as having had happened on the Vita.
Uh-huh.
But you could really see Ys 10 if it had more loading screens shoved into it, absolutely being a PS2 game.
Right, it couldn't be a Vita game. That's too big.
Let's go ahead and go with Chris next.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ys 10. And yeah, I don't really associate PS2 games so much with do the same level over and over and over. That's more of maybe I didn't play Shinobi, so maybe that's the problem. Or Shinobi Do.
Oh, Shinobi Do. Yeah. Well.
So I will also go with Kunitsugami. That does seem like the weird sort of thing that would come out on PS2.
Dr. Aggro.
Yeah, y'all are absolutely right. It's got to be Kunitsugami. Weird parentheses, good. Like, hey, we made a game about one thing and it's different to anything you've played before. Holy shit, what? And based on vibes alone, I'd have to give my second vote to Slitterhead.
So the votes come down to Ys 10 Nordics and Kunitsugami tied for first with Slitterhead in third. I'm okay with this. Bob, are you okay with this? Because I'm sure Buckaroo is just you.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. I'm fine with Slitterhead taking third. We're going to do, just to see if this is how it works, if we each get one vote. We're going to go. I'm doing Ys 10. Bob.
Kunitsugami.
Chris.
Ys 10.
Aggro.
Kunitsugami.
Okay. So we need to use our words. I'm going to look at some footage of Kunitsugami real quick while I ponder if people want to say things about Kunitsugami over Ys 10.
Yeah, Ys 10 definitely has the fidelity of a PS2 game more. Absolutely. Like, from that angle, it wins out. It's just Kunitsugami has that smaller scale that makes it feel PS2-y. So it's a hard fight.
Yeah. That would be the straight trade-off of looks more like a PS2 game and has the soul.
Yes. But here's the thing. Ys 10 also functionally has the soul.
Mm-hmm.
Like, its open world is very thin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Its mechanics are really PS2 action gamey, like that sort of action RPG gamey sort of feel, where it's like, and then you hold this to do the special attack. I feel like the linking the two main characters together is a thing they wouldn't try because it would be too complicated.
Yes, that goes a little bit beyond the scope.
Mm-hmm.
but definitely, like, I wouldn't be upset with either of these taking it. Like, they're both good choices for PS2 games.
We had a pretty good year for incredibly powerfully PS2 games. And I feel like going forward, we're probably going to get even more contenders in this category.
Hopefully.
This year, I feel like maybe we had more in prior years, but this is like really strong. Man, if only we could solve this problem like every other publication solves their game of the year via massive donation from the publisher.
God, wouldn't that be nice?
Could you imagine?
You'll know if we made it if we give Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet GOTY.
Could you imagine that game is GOTY? We're like, God damn it, Druckmann, you made a game that was the deepest gameplay you've ever had. You you did it. You son of a bitch.
It wasn't Dark Souls and it wasn't racist. Somehow you dodged both.
I don't even believe it.
I should be weird and make my game more hyper specifically about my grudges. And then he just went and stands up from his desk and he goes, wait a second. I don't give a shit. It just makes a normal game. It really is the visuals versus the soul. As I look at this footage, because the footage, the visual quality in Kunitsugami is clearly much higher than
Oh, yeah, no, that's like
it is very good looking.
top of the line sort of thing. So if we want to have Ys win just because of that, I understand.
Yeah, I think honestly, that is an important aspect to it that should probably take precedence. Because really, when it comes to the gameplay, Ys 10 only deviates in the Soul Link, I think. And that there should be more load segments.
Right.
Elsewise, it doesn't really do anything you couldn't see happening on a PS2 feasibly. Like the boat shit absolutely could have happened to some extent on the PS2. It just would have involved more weird crossing the ocean here caused a load screen. Or maybe it didn't. It just ran like shit. Fog. There's so much fog. And I think that's an important showcase. It's an important thing. At the same time, they totally fucked me for buying and playing that game, I guess. So maybe they deserve nothing.
Hey, that's also a very PS2 move.
Was that something outside of fighting games? Oh, yeah, there was.
Square Enix did it constantly.
Yeah,
they did.
They didn't even give us those.
Yeah, no, those rat bastards.
Shadow Hearts, that RPG series, also got it a couple times. But I don't even think they released those in America. So maybe Falcom will own the shit out of all of us and just never release that version in America.
That was for us. Only we are proud.
Holy shit.
Turns out Japan was the proud Nordics. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say, given the spirit of the game's barely out, we're making a new version. See you next year. Maybe that's the most positive and derogatory PS2 game of the year. Sure. Okay. You okay with that, Aggro?
Oh, yeah, that sounds fair.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
That's gonna make the PS2 Game Award go to Ys 10 Nordics, with second place going to Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess and third place going to Slitterhead. Honorable mention to Bakaru. The next category is the 7th Gen Game Award. The nominees are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, Metro Awakening, Silent Hill 2 Remake, Space Marine 2, and Unknown 9 Awakening. You know, we want to have some comments here to just really sell each of these before we go. I'll be quick. For whatever reason, unbeknownst to man, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is packed to the gills on the main storyline of having the most 7th gen padding gameplay possible. It is truly bizarre as I throw switches and solve puzzles by picking up and throwing boxes as Kate Sith slowly drag power cables across a room to plug it in to power an elevator. Slowly drag a cart with boxes on it across a room so I can climb on top of it and jump over a thing. I'm trying to think there's something else I'm missing because there's so much of this. And then there's oh my God. There's a part in the game where you're defeating enemies and you're generating a power, and then you need to use that power to manipulate the environment to continue to the next segment. which consists of you holding L2 while looking at a thing and spinning a stick. This padding is so intense, and I do not know why it's here. But really, it's mostly the Kate-Sith thing. Bob, would you like to tell us why Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is here? I just don't know.
Oh yeah, I just have no idea. It's a weird cinematic game that has almost no real gameplay where you hold forward and look at stuff. That'd be weird. It's also got incredibly reductive combat.
That's the most damning thing, frankly.
It honestly might be worse than even a regular 7th gen level of power. Like, just insane how slipshod it is.
Mm-hmm. Aggro, you put in Metro Awakening?
I did. This game has all the things you remember not being good from 7th gen. It opens with like a 15-minute walk and talk.
Oh no.
Where you're moving through like the town environment, listening to NPCs, timed dialogue to your walk. There are combat rooms where you enter it and then kill all the enemies inside before it'll unlock the door going forward. It has 2 or 3 full-length fire the turret from the moving tram at the enemies sections. It ends in a strictly contrived, this is the only way to beat the boss by activating the environmental hazard final boss section. Even though that game is amazing. All of these things are elevated in VR, but they are still all there.
Yeah, I feel bad. I should have nominated Batman Arkham Shadow. I guess I still can. We haven't finished talking about the nominees.
That's true.
Yo, so in Batman Arkham Shadow, you walk slowly through environments as you do the walk and talk with a person on your headset.
Uh-huh.
You get to the next segment, you open the door, there are a group of enemies to do Arkham combat with, but in VR. Puzzle solving results in you turning on your detective vision and then finding the clues in the exact order they want you to and no other order. And the clues are you just looking at a pile of shit on the ground anyone could see normally and going, those are chemicals. I can use these to trace him.
I need to go to Ace Chemical Plant.
Then it just becomes the movie. I'm like, wait a minute, what? It is really, truly super 7th gen. Let's move on. Silent Hill 2 Remake, why is that so 7th gen?
Well, it has combat exactly like, it has melee combat exactly like The Last of Us, and is kind of has shooting exactly like The Last of Us. And also there's nothing in it, like you open the chip bag and it's half air, which is a very 7th gen feeling, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The evil opposite of the money back feeling. The empty bag feeling.
Once again, if that better be one of the cheaper AAA games to ever be made, or what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, I guarantee you it's not as cheap as anyone would want it to be.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Let's move on. Space Marine 2. Hey, Bob. Hey, Aggro. You two played it.
It's true.
I also played it.
Oh,
I didn't beat it, but I played a bunch of it.
Everyone but me played it. I was much too busy playing Silo Sybil.
Good for you.
Maybe you shouldn't have been busy doing that.
Yeah, I think we all learned that.
Here's my take. It's a sequel to a 7th gen game and plays very similarly to that original 7th gen game.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very close to a Gears of War, just third-person shooter.
It's a little bit more melee focused than the original.
Mm-hmm. You've got huge dudes, grizzled military men grunting their way through a completely serious, super edgy story with giant set pieces and an unnaturally unwieldy number of enemies on screen at once, but it's on the PS5, so it's actually doing all these things that we tried to do on the PS3. It can actually run them.
What a concept. Hey guys, we could run those games for a few years back now. Could we just make one of those? Oh, we're too busy ray tracing and still not running games, right? Maybe you shouldn't be.
It even does the thing where you have 2 weapons and have to switch between them. Mm-hmm. A system that in some other games caused me to fly into fits of apoplectic rage at their inclusion.
Could be anything. Could be any 7th gen game that was a sequel. Bob, any other comments before we move on?
No, that's okay.
And Unknown Night Awakening, a game that no casual listener will even know exists.
No.
The thing that makes this not 7th gen enough, it's the one element that pulls away from it, is the entire game's plot feels like it went through a very corporate, very safe creation process and isn't as deranged as 7th gen plots were.
Mm-hmm.
And the main character's female. Those are like the two things that instantly make it not very 7th gen like at all.
Right.
And not unless we think of Remember Me.
Yeah, but that's like the outstanding. They're like, woman game. And we're like, we get it. They're like, no, Capcom's the only one's brave enough. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Thanks, bro. I think that's the one, right?
Right.
So it's not like emblematic of the whole gen. If anything, it's showcasing and Spotlight really makes it obvious how much that wasn't a thing.
And wet.
I'm not going to even fucking touch that with a yardstick. It's okay. We had strong female protagonists in the game. Wet. Just fucking think about that for 10 seconds. Everything else about this game is insanely 7th gen. Tons of walking talk, tons of terrible combat, a fucking gimmick that is not well thought out at all.
Bad stealth, too.
Super bad stealth, terrible cutscenes that aren't directed well at all. It is rancid. It is rancid-ass video game. And the only reason I led with the things that make it less 7th gen is because the rest of it is nothing but some of the mushiest fucking melee combat I've seen in a video game anytime recently.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like feels like that Western company made a 7th gen action game sort of game.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
The levels do not seem like levels that are designed. They just seem like areas an artist made.
Yeah.
So much.
I watched that game for less than 2 hours, and it was like, these are problems we solved, guys. We know to not do this anymore.
Opens PS5 game, PS3 Blu-ray inside. One last thing I needed to say about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is that the amount of walk and talk in that game is maddening, and I have not been hit with that much walk and talk in a video game since 7th gen.
It is insane how much there is.
I do not know why there is that much. But I will note the game has way, 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 way too much scope and money and talking, like everything's spoken.
Yes.
So in many ways, it doesn't quite feel like a 7th gen game.
Yeah, I know that I stopped having the 7th gen feelings frequently in it because I did so much side content, and that doesn't feel like a 7th gen game at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Like, what if we made fun mini games? Like, they can't do that on 7th gen.
It's kind of like, that's the thing that makes the 7th gen padding feel so much more out of place and obvious and glaring.
Yes.
Because it's like if you had a delicious breakfast cereal, and instead of having marshmallows in it, it had fucking cardboard corks. Like, why did you put this here? Eat it. But anyways, I'll go ahead and start us off strong. I'm going to say we get 3 votes each. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Space Marine 2 is the only shooter.
Yeah, yes. That's a shoe-in right there.
Unknown Night Awakening. All of it. There's not one part of it that isn't 7th gen except for the protagonist is female. That's it. Oh, and the incredibly corporate, safe feeling fucking script.
Yeah.
Because again, 7th gen is deranged.
Yeah, no, they'll do and say
They'll
anything.
just be like, we need a plot point. Sexual assault? Death? A city getting lasered over?
What was that Fracture one that was like un-American gene alterers or something?
Yeah, everyone who is getting genetically modified was un-American. It was like, these are plot points your ambitious 7th gen game writer would write. Nothing in Unknown Night Awakening remotely smacks of that. It all smacks of modern movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not one compelling character hook, not one incredibly morally gray for real character. Even the bad guy feels too nice, too well-intentioned to some extent to be considered morally gray even. It's dumb. It's dumb and terrible. I'm giving it the vote. The rest of these I'm really torn on. Batman is just an Arkham game.
Yeah, they made one of those in 2024. What?
Kind of horrifying. So Aggro, Opening 15 minutes of walking and talking, huh?
Oh yeah, you're going through the city you live in, following an NPC, while you get near to other NPCs, and then they start their bit of dialogue.
Now, okay, here's what I need to ask, because I feel like this is the iconic 7th gen move, especially in shooters. By the end of this moment, does something go down and you need to hurry to the event that is cool? Like, say, an explosion or a giant monster attacking.
The thing that goes down is a turret segment.
Vote locked in. There we go. And I'm done voting. We go now to aggro.
So this was not a thin category going in, and I did not expect there to be a dark horse late entry, but I wasn't kidding when my soul cried out into chat during the stream. Unknown 9 Awakening. Did they find this game in a canister buried in 2008? Like, this has to be performance art. This has to be on purpose. Jesus. I'm going to give another vote to Space Marine 2. As Dan said, it's a shooter. It's like 7th gen complimentary. It's everything they shot for. The beautiful dream finally realized. And yeah, Metro Awakening. That game is 7th gen as hell, right up until the bad boss fight that I forgive it for because the rest of it's so good.
Jesus Christ.
That sounds pretty 7th gen.
I feel bad for Batman. It didn't have a chance. See, Batman has a thing that I feel like isn't as 7th gen, because, openings are an important part of it.
Yes.
You start as someone who isn't Batman.
Ooh.
And they sneak up next to a Gotham Police Department window, and they're listening to the cops and stuff. They came out of their shitty apartment where the radio's playing to explain the events of the world and stuff.
Okay.
And you walk up next to that window and you hear the cops talking. And if you start to open the window or whatever, you go to the rooftop and you burn the bat signal. Okay, you throw a Molotov cocktail at the bat signal, which is great. You pull out the lighter in one hand and the Molotov in the other. You light it and then you toss it. And the moment it bursts into flames, cops run to the surface and gun you down. And then Gordon's like, "What the hell? Didn't I tell you about due process? What's wrong with you? Anyways, you're going to Arkham Blackgate or whatever." Then the ending closes and we don't follow that guy. We don't do that. It could be anyone.
Huh.
It's probably Batman, but I don't know. We don't know. See, that's not a 7th gen as you're getting walked through the town and then the event happens and you get on a turret segment.
No, it's not.
You can't compete with that.
It's not fair.
Anyway, let's move on with the vote. I'm going to go to Chris next.
Unknown 9 Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
See, I get where everybody's coming from with Rebirth, but at the same time, I feel like a core part of the 7th gen thing is not doing goofy padding shit, but that and not having anything else.
You're like, here it's padding. Elsewhere, it'd be all there is.
Yeah, I think what I associate most with a 7th gen game is like, you play 4 hours, that's maybe okay. Now they're out of content, there is 4 more hours of the game.
And that is literally what Unknown 9 ended up.
Yeah.
It was not okay, though.
So, and I can't in good conscious vote for Metro Awakening, because as Agro said, that's good, which is another thing I don't associate with 7th gen games at all.
Aw.
So Silent Hill 2 Remake. And Hellblade 2.
See, I don't know about this Hellblade voting, because there's not nearly enough based murder moments in that game.
Hellblade 2 is basically almost 100% walk and talk, though.
It's true.
Trying to be important, but actually just being very stupid is an extremely 7th gen thing.
Yes. It's hard to put that into words. I really was falling short of what to say as far as that goes, but that really sums it up of like, oh, you thought?
My game's about something. No, it ain't. Bob.
I'll show it. No, 9.
Yeah, I was like,
Yup.
I think we all know what's winning.
I have to vote for Hellblade 2 as well. Like, that's unacceptable. They have 3 modes of gameplay. Walking and talking.
That already sounds like 2.
Solving the in-environment puzzle that's bad. In combat that's really bad.
You got one more vote?
I want to give it to Space Marine 2. Chris is a little right in saying, but it's good though.
Oh my God.
But I'm going... What's up?
It's also a single player game with levels that also has online multiplayer.
Oh, you're... Okay, yeah, it's going in. It's got to. An online multiplayer mode no one plays? That's so 7th gen.
So 7th gen. Well, tallying these votes real quick, that puts Unknown 9 at a unanimous vote, followed by Space Marine 2. With 2 votes each, we have Hellblade 2 Metro Awakening, and with 1 vote, Silent Hill 2 Remake. Everyone's okay with locking in Unknown 9 Awakening, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And people asked, why did you play this game? Now you know. Okay. Systemically, something will change if we each get 2 votes and vote from the next 3. Space Marine 2, Hellblade 2, and Metro Awakening. Because there are 7 votes there, and we will have 8 votes. Something will change. Whether that's 2 of them tying with 3 votes or what, I don't know. But we're going to do it. We're going to start with Bob. This is between Space Marine 2, Hellblade 2, and Metro Awakening. You have 2 votes.
Hellblade 2 and Space Marine 2.
Aggro.
Space Marine 2 and this is so bizarre. Silent Hill 2?
Oh, we weren't voting between that.
Oh no, is that not up?
I mean, we can if you want. I'll let you vote for it.
I kind of do. Like, I'm having a change of heart about it.
Okay. Well, now everything's up in the air. We have no idea.
Right? I also considered it just because the only thing that holds me back from voting for it is it still has very little story across this very large game, which gives it a not quite 7th gen feel. Like, there's so much, like, it's based off that PS2 game, so they do all these things, and no story guides you to them.
Yeah, there are giant air gaps.
Yeah.
Whereas they would simply not make those air gaps in 7th gen.
No. Though this game is a ton of squeeze shoes, a ton of, like, weird knockoff Last of Us combat, so I get it.
Chris.
Hellblade 2. Silent Hill 2 Remake.
I'm giving it a Space Marine 2, because, subtle detail. It's a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
It was an online mode that just was there, and it was like, anytime, buddy. And we're like, well, that's going to stay that way, pal. Let's see. Looking Hellblade 2 and Silent Hill 2 Remake. I am going to have to, given these choices, being forced into this corner, I'm going to have to give it to Silent Hill 2 Remake, simply for the reason of, I don't want to throw the vote into Metro Awakening, because even I will go, well, it has VR.
Right, and that makes it so distinctly different.
It does. So that makes the current order: Unknown 9 Awakening, locked in unanimous. Space Marine 2, Silent Hill 2 Remake, and Hellblade 2 with 2 votes. Silent Hill 2 Remake and Space Marine 2 are tied. I absolutely, confidently, with all my heart, believe Space Marine 2 should take it.
I'm with you on that one.
I also agree.
Yeah, it being a shooter.
Right. It's a strong buff.
It's like Silent Hill 2 is The Last of Us, but bad. But here's the thing. The Last of Us came out at the very tail end of that gen. That gen isn't defined by a shitload of The Last of Us's. It's defined by a shitload of Gears of Wars's, which this is. That's why I'm putting my full back into that. Bob, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Space Marine 2, for sure.
Chris Agro, you okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we giving Hellblade 2 runner-up, Metro Awakening runner-up, or both?
I feel like Hellblade 2 just because it's not VR.
Yeah, Hellblade, I think, deserves to be runner-up.
Damn, all these VR games really got owned by being inherently joyous because they're VR.
7th Gen has a strong year, it seems. Like, other years, Hellblade 2 would have just taken it.
That's true. That is very, very true. Well, that makes the 7th Gen Game Award winner, Unknown 9 Awakening, the most unknown game we'll talk about in this entire Game of the Year process. Followed up by Space Marine 2 and Silent Hill 2 Remake, respectively, and runner-up Hellblade 2. Thank you to all of our nominees. Unlike this next category, Most Hideous Creature. This next category has spoilers for Metaphor ReFantasio. Not really for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but there is a nominee. Not really for Infinity Nikki, but there are nominees. Master Detective Archives Raincode.
Not really.
Not
but there's
really.
A nominee.
Funko Fusion, but come on now. Unicorn Overlord, it's an attack, but it... Yik IV, and it's really not... spoilers for Tekken 8.
No, that's how the game opens.
The nominees are Homo Jaluzo from Metaphor ReFantasio, Moogles from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Kilo the Cadence-born from Infinity Nikki, PCs from Infinity Nikki,
PCs, yeah, that's right.
Mystery Phantoms from Master Detective Archives Raincode, The Thing Monster from Funko Fusion, specifically because it is a Funko Pop of The Thing from the movie The Thing. Unicorn's Wrath from Unicorn Overlord. Baby Alex from Yik 4. Sorry, Yik IV. I would hate to mispronounce the name of Yik. And Tekken Avatars from Tekken 8.
Also, don't worry, Dan. In Yik IV, they pronounce it Yik.
Oh my god. They just embraced it.
What?
That's hilarious.
Are both of those Homo Jaluzo?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Gentlemen, there are a lot of nominees. I'm going to say we get 4 votes each. I am being forced to stare at it, so I'm going to shoot really fast. Homo Jaluzo's terrible. I don't like that.
Uh-huh.
No one does.
It's not great either way.
Let me go look at these mystery phantoms from Master Detective Archives Raincode.
These are all versions of existing characters that show up in
Oh.
the mystery dungeons, like done up as horrible neon glam rock monstrosities.
Here's the thing, though. We like the context of what they looked like originally.
Oh, I don't like that clown in the middle.
Yeah, no, I don't like that either.
I mean, they're still hideous.
Yeah.
They are, in fact, most hideous creatures
I
collective.
think one of these guys is Wayne, the main brain from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
God damn it. One of these days, I'm going to get through a podcast day without Aqua Teen coming up on or off content.
Doubt.
Bob, I know you brought Moogles, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say I'm not nominating Moogles.
I don't know how.
I'm not voting for that. I don't know if that thing looks like a Teddy Ruxpin. And that just seems right for these hell creatures that are Moogles. They are one of two things, the cutest thing in the world or Hellspawn. That is, for some reason, where they exist for me mentally. Yeah, I'm going to vote for the Funko Fusion Funko Pop of the Thing Monster. Because it was not great. It's a horrifying thing in the original movie, and somehow it being a Funko Pop made it way worse. I forgot that I saw that in a store once until we were in the Thing level, and I'm like, oh, right. Oh. I'm also going to vote for a Unicorn's Wrath because that was a jump scare.
Uh-huh.
This horrible monstrosity of a move, a unicorn peering down through a dimensional rift made of nothing but dead skeleton bones as a texture wrapped around its 3D shape. Horrifying. And I'm going to save my 4th vote. I'll let some other people, vote and make their arguments for things.
Okay.
We'll go to Chris next.
Kilo the Cadence-born. I hate him. If he was like 3 feet tall, maybe he wouldn't be in this category. Unfortunately, he's 30 feet tall. Also, he's bipedal. He walks on 2 legs. That's really fucking disconcerting.
Aggro, this is the weird blue crystal dragon image you're seeing. That's the second in that set, in case And
also the third, so you have a scale.
Mm-hmm.
He has a weird scarf that I think is part of him.
Like a Pokemon.
And his tail is a quill that he uses to write terrible poems. But he doesn't have the energy to write those poems unless you feed him a bunch of fucking sugar.
Oh my god.
Honestly, this is all a really good argument for most loathsome bands.
Yeah, but he gives you stuff.
Yeah, but he also writes bad poetry.
I'm going to vote for PCs. They are pieces of discarded cloth that gained sentience.
That's what those things are?
Yep. And they're like, oh, we fall apart and die eventually. Oh, please feel bad for us. Look at how we're all ragged and fucked up.
Yeah, we're all like that. You're not special.
They live for fucking hundreds of years, so they have it better.
Oh my god.
Before they start rotting, they're actually kind of cute.
I don't know. They're horrible, like yarn button legs that dangle as they float. Unnerve me.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm okay with the other ones, but Raggy here is, oh my god, the worn out cloth looking like decayed brown brain matter. Really upsets me.
Yeah, I think he got set on fire a little bit.
Okay, he just didn't rot to become that.
No, they don't rot. They have to be like injured.
It looks like it's filled with corn.
Might be.
I mean, they are in like a harvest area, so
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay.
And we get 3?
4.
No, you said 4. Moogles. I hate them. I hate them so much. Why did they give them these hideous little rat teeth? They've had good-looking 3D Moogles in half a dozen Final Fantasy games, and they just decided to do evil this time.
Yeah.
I can't vote for Homojaluza, because while it is horrifying, I feel like voting for something that's intentionally horrifying, not entirely, but to a degree, goes against the point of this fucking category. Because to an extent, it's like, why'd you do that? Do you not have fucking eyes, my man?
I don't know. When I hear most hideous creature, I think, what is the most hideous thing I was forced to look at by a video game this year? And I haven't even booted about it for it. It just did that.
So my final vote is going to be for Tekken avatars, because this is the only time I've ever seen them, and I really fucking don't like them. Like, I'd fucking go back to a Facebook tech demo.
Yeah, they like less, even more soulless Xbox avatars.
They are, yes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, you're nailing it there. I'm still holding on to my one vote. Bob.
Yeah, I gotta show it on Moogles. Like Chris said, we've seen them in 3D dozens of times now. What happened? Why is it like this now?
I blame the Time Ghost.
Maybe they did it.
They did. Sephiroth made the Time Ghost do that to them. I swear there was something that was a Moogle in Remake that was cute. Whether it was an animatronic, a menu UI thing, or real.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been real, but there probably was like an advertisement for Gold Saucer or something. Because I don't think he even got the summon that was the Chocobo and Moogle.
Come down to the Gold Saucer, where we can live in a dreamland where Moogles are cute, instead of horrifying things we wish we could all own flamethrowers to deal with.
My next vote's going for Tekken avatars. Homojaluzo and the Cadence Born. I thought I was okay with them, but the more I look, the more I dislike it.
Aggro.
I'm going to start with Unicorn's Wrath. Dan hit the right word. That thing was a jump scare. It was unprecedented and uncalled for. It was something truly weird ripping its way into your dimension.
Yeah.
I am definitely going to like this Moogle. This is clearly something trying to trick you into thinking it's a Moogle.
Yeah, that's something else wearing the skin.
Like, it's clearly wearing a Moogle hat.
There were a few 80s movies about this exact creature, yes.
I'm going to give it to Homogeluzo, specifically for its first appearance, when the tone takes a shift and you come face to face with the Shadow Baby.
I, of course, have no frame of reference for what sort of music it would play at this point. So in my head, it's Rivers in the Desert, but with Shadow Baby.
I'm really caught between Kilo and the PCs here. Because Kilo the Cadence-born, I've never seen a living creature and thought it looked off-brand. And the PCs, like if you set out to design something more fucked up than a Drifloom,
Yeah.
like these things kidnap children. That is not speculation. That happens.
I'd believe it.
I think I'm going to go with the PCs for being more unsettling and less sad.
I'm just going to not vote. I'm too torn on these. I'm literally
Now,
too torn.
I can give you some things that might help you with your last vote.
Okay, sure.
Did you complete all the Moogle shit in Rebirth?
No.
Okay, at the end of that Moogle shit, they reveal they have the ability to turn other people into Moogles and do it to Cloud.
He just looks like one of them, right? He doesn't...
I think he has the hair.
Is that why it's wearing the hat?
He does not have the hair, but he has a headband that says Cloud on it.
Oh, that's worse. He's lost all identity.
Yeah.
Okay, I have an important image to stick in here because I feel like there's a menacing energy to this image.
There is. God, yeah, they're little horrible wings. They're cute on any other Moogle. Why is they're like that?
They're fucking they're nightmare creatures. They're horrible little nightmare creatures.
Fine, I'll vote
Maybe
for it.
Shinra destroying the environment is correct if it gets rid of these fucking things.
I don't think these are part of the environment.
You do have to go to another dimension to interact with them. This
It's
is
true.
like a fucking warp breach in Warhammer.
Aggro, the trees that they inhabit, literally, the moment you open the door on these trees, just imagine like Keebler elf style door, right? You get transported to a pocket dimension where they just bully and laugh at you, and you need to corral them up.
Yup.
I'll vote for it. That's fine. Okay, so currently that makes the vote 4 on Moogles from 7 Rebirth, 3 on Homogeluzo from Metaphor Refantasio, Kill the Cadence-born PCs, both of which from Infinity Nikki, Unicorn's Wrath from Unicorn Overloaded, and the Tekken Avatars all have 2 votes. I'm okay locking that the way it is, because while I think Homogeluzo should get first, I can compromise and settle for second. We should now do a vote among all of these 2s to decide.
Sounds fair to me. Can I reveal something about Kilo the Cadence-born that might influence votes?
You may.
Whenever you feed him, he does this horrible little animation where he steeples his fingers together and wiggles them like Mr. Burns going, excellent. Except he's like, ooh, I get to eat a little treat.
The only thing hideous is he's having a hideously good time. Anyways, I'm going to say we get 2 votes. Ignore the fact each of these has 2 votes. I am confident it won't go down that way. Bob, you get to lead us.
Tekken Avatars in Kilo, the Cadence-born.
Dr. Aggro.
Unicorn's Wrath. God, look at that one's eyes. I'm still going with the PCs.
Unicorn's Wrath. Let me take a deep, long stare at these Tekken avatars and really be like, would I rather deal with you or Kilo the Cadence-born?
And this whole mode is just nothing but them. So that's just 5 of them. Imagine how many more you see.
Yeah, in fact, there are technically like 7 in this shot. Just 2 of them are covered.
Right? And you can buy new outfits for these, like with real money.
You know what? Okay, here's the thing. Here's what I've decided.
Okay.
Imagine this is a VR game and I'm trapped in this space with them. I'd rather be trapped with Kilo. So I'm going to give it to the Tekken avatars. Chris.
Tekken avatars. Kilo the Cadence Born.
Okay, well, it seems like we have a top 3 locked in. Assuming people are okay with that, that would be Moogles, Homojaluzo, and Tekken avatars from Tekken 8. Is that okay with people?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I mean, I think the Tekken avatars are just kind of generic looking. They don't faze me, but I'm solidly outvoted here.
I don't know. I think we might be able to win it with Unicorn's Wrath. Because that's what deserves to be up here.
It is a volume of skeletons sliding in to fill the spectral dimensions of a unicorn head.
That is wide-eyed, cracked out in a game full of 2-dimensional beings.
It's the first thing like it that appears in the last fight in the game.
Yeah, it literally is unlike anything else in the game, and it comes in so abruptly, so unexpectedly, and is so deeply horrifying. Because it's not like this is a texture that just sits on it that looks like this. They writhe. It's a lot. I can't remember that many times in a video game where the thing near the end that's deeply horrifying is a really strong move and is unlike visually anything else in the game.
It is strong. It's just that it's only there for like this short period of time. Like you only see that attack a few times.
Whereas the Tekken avatars have been visiting you in your dreams for months.
Yeah, they won't go away.
They won't go away. And now Clive's there. And he's like,
There's a
that's
Clive
enough.
avatar.
Oh, God, no.
I think you can buy one, yeah.
No, I don't want that.
Like this body model doesn't seem wide enough to contain a Clive.
Maybe they stitched 2 of them together.
Ooh.
I guess they're going to win with the Tekken avatars aggro. We should probably.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I was there with you. Okay, we're going to lock it in. Most hideous creature goes to the Moogles from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Second place goes to Homojaluzo from Metaphor ReFantasio. And third place goes to Tekken Avatars. Congrats to Unicorn Overlord and Infinity Dicky for some really strong runner-ups. Hey, can we get this category to be emptier next year, please? Right? I want to cut this category. I want to be like, I wasn't scared shitless by anything in a game this year.
When the next Final Fantasy comes out, the Moogles better not look like this. I don't care what Final Fantasy it is, if it's the next 7 or if it's the next regular Final Fantasy. No, absolutely not.
You're saying that's enough?
That's enough.
Okay. Well, we're moving on to our next category, Worst Named Thing. The nominees are Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, Flintlock, Siege of Dawn, Unknown 9, Awakening, Story World, the word invented by Unknown 9 Awakening, and the PS5 Pro. Who nominated the PS5 Pro for Worst Named Thing? I swear it was Chris.
I think it was Chris, yeah.
I thought it was you.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
I thought he totally did. You did a rant the other day of like, if it's named Pro, then why isn't it doing anything?
That doesn't have anything to do with me putting that there. Which I didn't do.
We're going to start co-signing by our nominees.
Yeah, we're going to have to, next year, we're going to have to put who put it, like an initial.
We're going to have to stamp this.
DBKA.
So we only have 4 nominees. Should we still go through with this? 2 of these are technically Unknown 9 Awakening.
It's still funny, though.
Okay, fine. Should we leave all of this in?
Sure.
Sure. How about 2 votes? I think that's a good
Yeah, we're doing 2 votes. Bob, you get to start us.
Unknown 9 Awakening. Oh my god. Also Story World. The other 2 names are bad, but oh my god, Story World?
I'm going to give it to Unknown 9 Awakening and Flintlock Siege of Dawn. I'm sorry. Flintlock Siege of Dawn is the most forgettable fucking name in the world for me. For some reason, I don't know. It doesn't strike a single image in my brain. Siege of what are you oh, morning combat, fucking swell. What am I supposed to hold on to? And Unknown 9 Awakening, by the end of hearing that title, you've learned nothing other than the number 9 might show up. Someone's unknown, and this is the first entry, and they named it like morons. Fire Emblem Awakening fans be like, "Urgh." We're going to go down to Dr. Aggro.
Story world. That is the opposite of marketing. You made a word that made me mad at your product. Out of these three very similar concoctions, I think I'm going to have to give it to Banisher's Ghost of New Eden, because it is the most, just pick one of those. Either one of those could be the title for your game.
Chris Wolfhart.
Story world. Banishers was like a real game that probably would have had more of a chance had it not had such a dog shit name, so Banishers. I don't think anything could have saved Unknown 9.
I mean, sure, but that doesn't make it a good name. Okay, currently the voting lands with Story World, which for the audience who's listening's sake, all one word. Story World. Story World. Story World?
God damn it. We already had terms for everything you were trying to describe.
It's a world where a story happens.
It's so big.
Second and third place are tied between Banisher's Ghost of New Eden and Unknown 9 Awakening, and then runner-up currently is Flintlock Siege of Dawn. Yeah, fuck you guys. We're voting those three bottom ones again, and you get 2 votes. Let's fucking go. We're starting with Chris.
Between the bottom 2,
Bottom 3.
bottom 3, Banishers.
You get 2 votes.
Oh, Flintlock.
Bob.
Unknown 9. Yeah, Banishers. I feel like that's worse than Siege of Dawn for some reason.
I'm going to give it to Unknown 9 and Flintlock. Aggro.
So I'm going for Banishers. And I think I've decided to also go with Unknown 9 Awakening, because Unknown 9 by itself is a fine title, and you ruined it.
Yeah, it feels like you really drew away attention from the only elements of the beginning of that could have any importance, and now you've diminished it so much that Unknown seemingly doesn't fucking matter, which, by the way, we played the game. It seemingly really does. The game isn't about how they are the Unknown 9. They're just called that, and that's less interesting. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, I suppose. Is everyone okay leaving Flintlock as a runner-up?
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer
Yeah,
that's
sure.
a worse name than Banishers, but I will submit, okay? Because here's the thing. Banishers, somewhat memorable. Ghosts of New Eden, somewhat memorable. I feel like Siege of Dawn in no world for the game they made. Siege of Dawn makes me think you're an RTS. And Flintlock is just like, to me, a very uninteresting title.
I mean, it makes me think of the gun she uses, so I think of the game. That's
The iconic flint gun.
yeah, the flintlock gun that she has, which isn't much, but it's something.
But it's anything.
right. Whereas the Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, I get basically nothing.
In my brain, the way I hold on to it is New Eden's a place and there are ghosts of it. There's a relationship in that title I could begin to build, whereas all of the rest of this, I cannot. That's why I didn't vote for it any of these times, because I'm like, no, there is a fragment of, like, technically Siege of Dawn is a thing. It's just such an uninteresting, generic concept of, like, imagine Dawn. Now imagine someone sieging. Holy fuck, bro.
Like one of the reasons that I used for picking between them was that Flintlock Siege of Dawn tends, like, it rolls out of your mouth easier. Banishers has a hard stop after it.
Yeah, it's true. Flintlock Siege of Dawn can kind of just come out, whereas Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden is really, one,
Yeah,
too
you've
many
got to
syllables.
restart the sentence.
And two, there's a hard comma coded into how you say that. You make a good point. But I'll relent. It can be runner-up, and I can just be mad. So then, does Banishers or Unknown 9 Awakening take it?
And by it, we mean,
You mean
second place.
Look, it's not every day somebody invents such a great word as story world.
Right?
Agra's like, false. 8-year-olds do it all the time. We're going to do one vote each to see if this goes anywhere. Bob.
Unknown 9.
Dr. Agro.
God, the more I look at it, the more mad I am that they just tacked awakening onto the end of it. It's such a dog shit gray noise word to put in a title. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also voting for Unknown 9. Chris?
Doesn't matter. But Unknown 9.
Yeah, I think Awakening is truly one of the weakest fucking subtitles you could put on a game. And though technically there was some level of awakening here, technically, she has psychic powers and shit at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, right?
We didn't actually see what you consider the biggest awakening, which was her getting those powers. You get to see the awakening of her taking the throne. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say spoilers for Unknown 9 Awakening. I know so many of you were going to buy and play this game.
That exists seemingly just for this one podcast.
Yeah, that's it. This is a podcast world.
Right. God, like I'm not mad that you told me before I could experience it for myself. I'm mad that I have to know more about it.
That makes worst named thing of 2024, Story World, followed by Unknown 9 Awakening, and in third place, Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden. You know, I think this next year is going to do pretty well for names. You know why?
What's that?
Western Industry's dead. I'm just looking at this list, and I'm noticing something about the source of all these names.
Yeah, what we got for next year is Claire Obscura 33 or whatever.
Oh, Expedition 33.
Expedition, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is going to be a strong contender. It might just be the only thing that we end an episode with that. Moving on to the next category, Biggest Jobber. This category is going to have spoilers for Dragon Quest III, Trails Through Daybreak, Visions of Mana, Metaphor Refantasio, Ease 10 Nordics, and Unicorn Overlord. The nominees are Baramos. Or is it Baramos?
He's a jobber, so fuck him.
Baramos from Dragon Quest III HD 2D. And also, it might be in some other game, I don't know. Viola and Alexandra from Trails Through Daybreak.
Yeah.
Alexander or Alexandra?
I think it's Alexandra, but let me go check.
Iorin from Visions of Mana. Hideous Glodell from Metaphor Refantasio. Which I realize now that I haven't been saying the name correctly because it's clearly a harsh Z that sounds like a TS. Yorv, I think it's pronounced.
I think it's Yord.
Is it?
I thought so, but maybe not.
I thought the way they pronounced it in the game was like a Yorv. But maybe it's Yord. Anyways, East End Nordics. And Lex from Unicorn Overlord. The only person on this list I feel bad for.
Yeah.
Just because you like him doesn't mean he's not a jobber.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I know. This is when I say Lex has my full support. I stopped using him 3 battles in.
Oh.
I think I carried
God.
him all the way to in-game. I truly believed.
Yeah, I did too, even though that he gets owned in the tutorial battle is part of the plot.
Yeah, no. Out. I don't have room for losers.
This is cruel.
That dude moved to the backup troop instantly. He then slipped out of that even.
I just let him hang out with the witch. Be like, she's the actual team member here, but you get to tag along.
We're just going to group together your accomplishments and say, good job, all of you equally. Who nominated Barmos?
I did. Okay, so spoilers for Dragon Quest III. This is what Baramos looks like. Now, firstly, look at him. Secondly, once he is the Dark Lord menacing the world, and then you kill him and find out he ain't shit. There's a bigger, more evil Dark Lord that's down in hell, and you need to go take care of him.
Yes.
God, Dragon Quest is so fucking
It
big.
is
And
so
thirdly, so I'm just gonna post this picture of King Piccolo's like crier. He does not even fight.
Huh.
So I'm gonna say this dude maybe doesn't deliver on any level he's supposed to deliver on. and kind of as a joke when you fight him. After spending so fucking long getting to his ass, which just comes out to him hiding.
Oh my God, really?
You have to do all this shit to get to him. Well, they don't explicitly say it, but it comes off like he is hiding.
Okay.
He's like, okay, you got to get the magic sword and throw it into a volcano to make the volcano erupt and create a land bridge to get to this place to get this thing. And then you get all these things and you finally get the rainbow bird that can fly so you can come to my castle. And it's like, you're hiding, you bitch. I'll also explain Viola and Alexandra. So, the villains in Trails Through Daybreak are this evil anime mafia called Almada. And these are the first two enforcers. They're the first two enforcers you meet. And then you get a fight with them where you kind of don't really win. I found a picture of them here. It's a YouTube thumbnail, but it's good enough for the purposes of this discussion. You don't really beat them, but they don't come off like they're way stronger than you. And then in the next chapter, immediately they're like, Almada also has these three guys that are from like the organization of super assassins that was disbanded before this game started. So it feels like they immediately got power scaled down to like Soul Society lieutenants.
That's not a great place to be.
Also, the girl you just uses the Needler from Halo. It's pretty funny. But yeah, they're jobbers. They barely even have a personality.
They do feel like bounces that would show up for one episode.
Yeah, Trails is real big on having the villain factions have like a group of like, these are the losers that you're gonna mulch.
Mm-hmm. I would like to talk about Yorn from Visions of Mana. I didn't even write him in here, I don't believe. I believe someone else did.
No, I think I did.
I would just like to say I'm immediately upset because I was confronted by his immaculate character design art again.
Uh-huh.
And then I said, no, the real Eorian. It brought up his in-game model. Made from what seems like a behind-the-scenes character creator they had at Square to shit out in characters. This dude is the starter villain. This is literally the top of his wiki entry is like, he's the antagonist of Visions of Mana.
He gets you started on antagonist.
That is the first sentence of his wiki page. He's completely unnecessary in this game's plot. He doesn't accomplish shit. He's terrible. Visions of Mana is made worse because of him, and he just sucks shit and immediately shows up at the end and be like, I did the thing, oh fuck.
Yeah, his whole thing is that all he does is add elements to the plot that are never explained. They never go into why girl turned stone.
Instantly.
Mm-hmm.
What?
They don't make it out of the village at the beginning. And instantly trying to run out of the village, she turns to stone. It's like, that's
yeah, and then they
really,
just never bring that up again, aggro. They never even mention it.
They're like, oh yeah, these things happened because the sacrifice didn't happen. I'm like, yeah, but this is like, you didn't pre-order the tickets for the concert a month in advance. I shot the musician to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like, if not having one of the sacrifices causes like the elements to get thrown out of balance and the world to start to fucking collapse, I don't think it should be built in like, the sacrifice had a moment of self-doubt. Just kill him and make it not count.
So there's something to be really said for the jobber-like quality of, hey, hello, I'm in your game so that way I could carry the plot over here because the writer couldn't do it. It's like, oh, are you fucking serious? Oh, I'm dying!
Yeah, then immediately when the real villain shows up, he evaporates like into air. Like, Yorin's disintegrated.
It's terrible. Wonder who I'm voting for. Tell me all about this Hideous Glodell.
Okay, so Metaphor has an immaculate villain. His name is Luis. He looks kind of like Luis. He looks kind of like Char. You know, he's a composite of a bunch of evil blonde guys from anime.
Mm-hmm.
Or some are not that evil, but whatever. Glodell hangs out around him and just parrots everything he says. And then dies ignobly when you do fight him.
Every time he's compared to your party, it's always like, oh, but he actually just sucks. Like there's an early on competition where he brings something to a big moment.
Oh, yeah!
Uh-huh.
And everyone in the audience laughs at him.
Here's what happens. Because it's like an election, so it's like everybody has to be here at this day and bring the head of a great beast they slayed.
Mm-hmm.
So he brings one of the big special monsters, the head of one of the big special monsters, like the weakest tier that looked like a fish with human legs. He brings the head of that. So one of your party members, Stroll, just yells, "Prove that's a big monster!" And then nobody knows what they actually look like, so everybody turns on him instantly and starts throwing shit at him and calling him names.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Laugh at his small penis.
You can debate one of these. You can debate this guy because you have like your 5 dating sim-esque stats, except they're not related to dating in this because it's a different game. But you can debate the other candidates to get like a boost to your stats. When you debate him, the way you effortlessly defeat him is just by going, "You just say all the same shit Luis says," and the crowd instantly turns on him and starts calling him a cuck, basically.
That's amazing.
Every second you're looking at him, he is seething. Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
He has no state other than seething.
I guess to talk about Yorv, we need to explain what was Yorv's plan?
Well, they do establish that her plan was to die. That was indeed her plan.
Yeah?
And considering part of her plan was to kill Adol, that's a pretty fucking good plan considering he's the only one who can ever resolve anything in this universe.
We better kill that problem solver before he gets there.
But at the same time, of the 3 big villains in East 10, she just comes off as useless.
Yeah.
Like the very first time you meet her, Karja
Karja
cuts
Balta?
her face, and she cuts her face, and she's seething about it the entire fucking game.
It's true. And you expect like, oh, this time she's really going to unleash. And no, she was disappointing every fight.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone in-game, in-story felt the same way. Is they're just like,
This
Jesus.
NPC fights her, and then when she shows up, she's like, "That guy's not normal," because she's all beaten up. If you get off-screened, you're a jobber.
It's really a shame because her character design is like really good once she gets the cut. Before the cut, I'm like, and then she gets the cut, and I'm like, that completed it. There we go. That's perfect. But I don't know. I think she worked really well as could have been a good villain, but man, she's seriously just thoroughly disrespected by everyone in the game. It feels like in the game itself. So who wants to lead the charge on explaining why we feel bad for Lex?
Lex is like, he's not an antagonist, but he is the definition of enhancement talent. He's basically the same thing you are, and he's there to make you look so much better by comparison.
He is the first fighter you get in a Fire Emblem game. He is the guy that uses an axe. He has nothing but kind of high HP and maybe slightly higher damage than normal. Unless you just really like looking at him, he's gonna be on the bench by mid-game.
I liked his design, and then I listened to the words he said and looked at his stats and just went, I'm so sorry. You're just... So imagine when, your other good friend is just constantly like, "Did you see that, Lex?" I'm like, "No, he didn't." I can guarantee
He's on the
he didn't see
bench.
shit. All he sees right now is bench in a back room.
It is messed up how much better she is. She's just, like that Spear Girl, right?
Yeah, I used her the whole game.
Yeah, that Spear Girl class is great.
Yeah, she had a really good troop. I'm like, Lex.
I'd put her on the same troops to cope and be like, Lex is fine, actually. Lex is fine.
She's like, yeah, I guess I'm a package deal thing. Oh, well. It's really depressing. I wish he wasn't in this category. Okay, and with that done, let's get to voting. I'm going to say we get 3 votes, which actually is already very difficult.
Yeah, we have some strong jobbers this year.
We do. We will start with Dr. Aggro.
Lex.
Oh, no.
I love you, man, but yeah. We all know you've got somewhere to be at 6 a.m. Eorin from Visions of Mana. Because, the first thing he does in that game is job to the mana goddess.
It's okay, because eventually he jobs to the actual villain of the game, to the point where it's basically...
Is that not the mana goddess? Have I misunderstood this game's plot?
The game wants you to believe it's not the mana goddess. We're going with the game's text.
Right. The game is completely wrong on this, by the way.
You know that thing in Bleach where the person gets near the other person and they disintegrate? That's basically what happened to Yorin at the end of this game. And by the end of this game, I mean nowhere near the end of this game.
Like halfway through.
When you get to the fucking mana tree, you're almost there.
I think I'm going to give my last one to Viola and Alexandra from Trails Through Daybreak. Because, immediately replaced is just not, it's not a good look. And I know the Trails games can just produce some horrendous jobbers.
These are even lamer than, like, the two that kind of are shaped like them from Cold Steel, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on to the next person who's voting, I just wanted to know, you know what I realized during Most Anticipated Game?
What's that?
We didn't include a certain game that we have in years past, specifically Pragmata.
I know. I couldn't. I lost all faith that it was coming out.
The dream is broken.
Right. It's over.
The dream is broken. But here's the good news. You get to vote.
Okay. Sure. I have to vote for Glodell. I'm sorry. That crowd scene is too much. Not many people get booed by like hundreds of people.
And we're sure this wasn't a perspective internally from this character's perspective, and he was having a nightmare like when you're at school and you don't have pants.
No, it was very real.
Because it sounds on par with that, but you're telling me it actually happened. You get 2 more votes.
Viola and Alexander. They, like I said before, they are 1 episode bounce. They aren't full bounce. They aren't up there with Yoshi.
See, Aggro, this joke will land for you soon enough.
I feel too bad for Lex. I'm going to give it to Yorin.
I got to give it to Yorin. Yorin from Visions of Mana is terrible. Absolute jobber. Most disappointing character in that game, possibly.
I don't even think you fight him.
No.
That's crazy.
That is absolutely nuts.
No, the Giga Chad just kills him instantly once he's revealed, and also cuts through the stone girlfriend, which still isn't fucking brought up ever.
Next, I'm going to give it to Lex from Unicorn Overlord. If I didn't do that, that would be me just lying about history. How small did they say Hideous' penis was again?
Extremely.
Oh my god, that's terrible. Also, let me be real. The part where they're just like, you just repeat what that guy says because you're an idiot is really funny. That's pretty dire.
Yeah, I didn't even do that segment. That's hilarious.
So based on that, I'm going to have to vote for him. I'm going to have to vote for Hideous based on that. And that leaves Chris to vote. 3 votes.
Glodell. Baramos. Just fucking look at him.
I know. Yeah, no, he's a strong competitor.
He is. And in a year where Lex wasn't here, I would have voted for him.
And Eorin, half the game on a dude that looks like he was spat out of the NPC character creator.
Yeah, it's so rough.
That is really rough.
It's so fucking rough.
Like, every single thing he brings to the game just gets discarded. It's like, sorry, the 12-foot tall Giga Chad's here. We don't fucking need you anymore. Go to hell.
Yeah, and that guy has like the same plot.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's... he's so
That's called thematic parallels. We have only heard that term and don't really know what it means.
Are you a YouTuber? So based on the votes, Eorin for Visions of Mana is unanimous. Hideous Glodell from Metaphor Refantasio is in second. Viola Alexandra from Trails Through the Daybreak and Lex from Unicorn Overlord are currently tied for third, and Barmos got 1 vote and is in runner-up. I'm good with this, but I need Lex to win. He needs to be third. I don't say this with any malice in my heart. I was depressed the whole game that he is an important character and he's on the bench. Imagine you're going through every cutscene in that game just knowing I made the right move putting you on the bench, my friend. But I just feel so bad. You genuinely think you're one of the crew.
You could have married him.
I don't think he wants pity sex. Wait,
Look at him.
No, he probably does. That makes it worse, actually, now that...
Yeah, no, he at no point like I kept expecting him to have the subplot where he's mad that he's supposed to be the best friend and we're supposed to be going on this adventure, but why am I not in any of the units that you use?
Maybe I would have married Lex if he had a whole arc where he went sniff, 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 doubt. I need him to get third.
I'm understanding. I'm cool with putting Lex up there in third instead of the 2 bounce.
And just for all the Lex heads in chat, I don't do this out of malice. I do this because of how history went down. Chris, are you okay with me moving Lex to third? With the runner-up being Viola and Alexandra?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Then I think we're all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But let me throw out this possibility.
What's up?
What if we move Baramos to runner-up?
There's just something about the word jobber that makes me think of bad anime villains
you're
explode.
right.
And this guy, like, he's from a classic sort of anime, not a aughts anime like I expect.
But at the same time, he's based on a guy that is killed by his boss falling on him.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like since I haven't played either of these games, like Viola and Alexandra, like they get wasted to gas somebody else up. Baramos just, it turns out he sucks.
Well, no, you kill him. You went through all that to kill him, and it's like he was actually a minion of an even bigger, stronger guy.
To me, being a jobber doesn't mean you performed your function necessarily, and I could be absolutely wrong. Maybe the purpose-built failure is the most important part of being a jobber. But I would then put the jobber thing, now that I'm thinking upon it, possibly more on the bounce from Daybreak, just because it sounds to me as though they didn't serve as a great reveal moment.
No, they really didn't. At least not what I played. I didn't get to see when they got truly defeated, but I saw when they were introduced, and that was the most limp sort of situation of like, what their cool thing they did. They beat up a bunch of punks in a street. They what? Like, were they strong?
No.
They snuck up on them. They used gas and they shot them to death.
Yeah, these are the guys. These are the tier of guys that absolutely cannot defeat a real character.
So in that sense, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we keep Baramos down there and not even a runner-up, and we leave the bounce there and runner-up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like they probably deserve to be in runner-up.
Baramos is a fulcrum to unveil the truth of the world and the story. Eeyore and Lex and the bounce, maybe not. So everyone's okay with me locking in Eeyore and Visions of Mana as biggest jobber, Ideas Glodell as second place. Third place goes to Lex from Unicorn Overlord, and runner-up Viola and Alexandra from Trails Through Daybreak.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. We'll lock it in. That's right. The biggest jobber of the year last year came from Visions of Mana. You missed out if you didn't play that game.
Dodged a bullet.
You know where the mana tree would want you to put that bullet.
Oh, no, don't say that.
The next category is coolest thing in a game. There will be spoilers for Astrobot, Trails Through Daybreak, Funko Fusion, Ease 10, Tekken 8, Shadow Generations, Parking Garage Rally Circuit, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, and Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. The nominees are the Ape Escape level in Astrobot, the Uncharted level in Astrobot, the Grendel from Trails Through Daybreak, the Thing from the movie poster for the movie The Thing in Funko Fusion, the final boss of Ease 10, the final boss of Tekken 8 Story Mode, boss fights in Shadow Generations, Minnesota Mega Mall from Parking Garage Rally Circuit, Raise the Banner from Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, the boat fight from Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and the Titan fight from Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I have been waiting and waiting to have this moment. Yo, they made one of the coolest moments in Ape Escape, and it's not in an Ape Escape game. They redid the control scheme so it's like approachable to normal humans.
Uh-huh.
They got a remix of Ape Escape music made by someone who worked on Ape Escape spin-offs, and the beats per minute were correct and everything. What an amazing sequence. What amazing graphics. What fun gameplay. Using the adaptive triggers for that was so cool. Make this whole game now. That Uncharted level was really great.
Yeah. No, that made me miss Uncharted more than I thought I could.
Yeah. Really full of joy, really whimsical. I love the puzzle solving, even if it is only slightly smarter than a lot of Uncharted puzzles. Just by one iota. Really joyous. It was just so cool to see Nathan Drake as this astrobot, and how cool his hair was, and how funny these moments were. There were just so many elements of it that were so good.
And that song remix was great.
It is so good. It's amazing. They have like for and we didn't put it in here, weirdly enough, which it can be added, but the God of War level is also like great remix there, great remix in Uncharted, great remix in Ape Escape.
Yeah, I feel like that was good, but it's a different power levels from these two. To me.
I laughed insanely hard when I heard what they did with the God of War 2018 theme. I was cackling with musical delight. But let's move on. Chris, I assume you nominated The Grendel, which makes me think of the Grinch. What the fuck is the Grendel?
Yeah, right.
So in Trails of Cold Steel, there's a real cool thing that you don't get until the entire first end of the first fucking game of that series. You get it literally 30 seconds before the end of that game.
Mm-hmm.
In Trails Through Daybreak, they just fucking give it to you. and that they give it to you at the end of the prologue.
Nice.
And that is this thing. That is basically the main character's like Power Rangers transformation that he can do via a mysterious artifact. And when you do it, the combat system changes, and they usually do it at the end of a chapter while you fight some big thing that is implied that your normal party would have no fucking shot against. And then later they're just like, you can fucking drop it on normal bosses if you want.
That right there, just so we're clear, is just the protagonist, Nahobino, fused with Grimjaw Jaggerjaw.
I was going to say Cyber Guyver.
And I also think when you can use it in normal battles, they call the command "Take the Grendel," which I think is very cool.
Holy
Jesus.
shit.
Take the Grendel sounds like some really fucked up, stupid movie in-joke of like, it's a sex move. Venture Brothers would call something taking the Grendel. I get it. I'm looking at it and I get it. Aggro, have you seen The Thing from the movie poster for the movie The Thing as it is in Funko Fusion?
I feel like that might have come up earlier in this episode.
Oh, no. See, you're thinking of The Thing from the movie The Thing that was in Funko Fusion that looks horrifying. I'm talking about when you start to defeat that thing from the movie The Thing in Funko Fusion, you get to team up with a giant version of the dude from the poster for the movie The Thing as a Funko Pop. It is 8 feet tall. It is a glowing TV headband.
Oh my god.
It is a lot.
It is the only good thing in this game. It is. It is easily the only good thing in this game. I'm going to get a picture. 1 sec. Oh no, I went too far in the VOD and I'm in Umbrella Academy. It's too bad that fight is so easy at that point that it just ends almost immediately. I guess I'll explain this mechanically. So every single boss fight in Funko Fusion regrettably involves you shooting it enough to make it bleed enough to spit out enough goo to fill a chamber to summon the ally from that world. And the ally from the Thing world in Funko Fusion is the Thing from the movie poster for the Thing. Fucking animation of the rays coming out of this face. Good luck fitting that in an image, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really freaking cool. It's the only wholly good part of that game. Chris, do you want to describe what the final boss of East 10 Nordics is?
So East 10, you're tied to the wrist to the tsundere heroine.
Sister.
Yeah, your shield sister. You have a bunch of combo moves. You can swap between each other instantly. You have team attacks. The final boss is this big Giga Chad, and his wife has been helping you through the game. And then at the end, your shield sister's like, go join his team so we can have a 2-on-2. And then you have a 2-on-2 boss fight against the Giga Chad and his dim-eye goddess mermaid wife. And they have the same mechanics you do, kinda. It's real cool. There's some really cool stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
I love when enemies get your mechanics in a game. I don't really have anything else to say.
I enjoy that his wife is mermaid mode and that he is like straight up Tears of the Kingdom Ganon levels of like buff,
He's
menacing
huge.
energy.
Yeah, no, he's gigantic. And his mermaid wife is also very big.
She is. She's really big. The final boss of Tekken 8 is going to sound like the coolest shit in the world because it is. Aggro, did you make it to the end of Tekken 8?
I did not.
Chris, did you play Tekken 8?
No.
So the final boss of Tekken 8, it's going to be a little hard to remember the order because, of course, I haven't hit this since March or February.
Uh-huh.
Bob, how the fuck did they explode the ground they were on into the atmosphere to then Char's counterattack fight on top of it as they fell to the earth again?
I believe there's a volcano involved, or
Yes.
or either that or they flew up into space as angels and demons.
Oh yeah, that also happened. The Devil Jin and Kazuya, they were both fighting in devil mode and just flew up into the atmosphere. They keep fighting on this fucking thing as their Chars counterattacking, re-entering the atmosphere, beating the absolute shit out of each other. This battle goes for 18 fucking rounds.
And it has mechanics like Metal Gear Solid 4, where your main character switches the different styles he's using as he goes down. It's like, oh, I'm remembering my mother, and then starts using moves from her.
This really is the Metal Gear Solid 4 ending of Tekken games. It is so unreal. Battle on a volcano, battle in space, battle on the beach. And you're getting more and more battle damage as you go. You're becoming angel. You're becoming devil. It's so good.
And Kazuya, the most intimidating thing he can do, he Korean backdashes at you. He starts using fighting game tech you don't see in the regular video game.
Yeah, it's damn cool. It is amazing. It was one of the most hype moments in a video game this year, easily. It should be the standard by which all fighting game conclusions should live up to for the rest of time. It's unfortunate most fighting games don't have two people as cool and as bitterly angry at each other with such anime powers as Jin and Kazuya. What a dope fucking video game. This is so
insane.
good. It's like, I'm going to beat the devil gene out of you. And that's like, it's literally, the battle is just child abuse for 18 rounds, but you're like, no, Dad. No, you won't. It's so fucking good. There's so much headbutting. There's so much sweating. It looks so good. Give me a goddamn PS5 Pro mode, goddammit. I want to play it again. Chris, you nominated boss fights from Shadow Generations.
Yep. Boss fights in 3D Sonic games are generally not very good.
Yeah.
I think usually at best they are cool, but mechanically lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow Generations does something incredible where they are cool and not fucking terrible to actually play. They actually fucking work and don't seem to be janky at all.
Yeah.
damn, I can't believe once they started giving the Sonic team fucking money and time that things suddenly improved a lot.
It's crazy. This thing that should have been just a small part of this game, an add-on to promote the new movie, is literally the best 3D Sonic game. That's nuts. That sounds insane.
Yeah,
and yet,
it's the best stuff.
it has the best levels designs. It has the best boss fights.
Yeah.
If they just made a game twice this length of this quality, people would treat it like Sonic Odyssey.
Yes.
That would be the straightforward Sonic game that was getting 9s from journalists.
Bob, tell me about the Minnesota Mega Mall.
All right. The Minnesota Mega Mall is in Minnesota. It's cold. It's snowing. Very cool.
Oh. Well, then it might be the coolest thing in a game.
This is also where you have to learn how to drift up ramps or you will fly outside of the Mega Mall's karting garage that you are in.
Okay, cool.
And that will just send you flying out of the map and basically lose you the whole race. So it feels really good when you master that and get used to the drifting around the different hills. And there's even a section where you like drive down a snowy road against snowplows. If those snowplows even touch you, you fly straight up basically. So it doesn't compete on like the scale of the other things, but it's just a nice like super solid level with a good soundtrack where you learn the mechanics and have to perform very well.
Dope. Who nominated Raise the Banner?
That was me. So picture it. You're on what is basically a cemetery planet. The huge MacGuffin machine is going off. Warp portals are ripping open everywhere. Zinch demons and thousand suns are pouring through the rift. You just watched a dreadnought wreck absolute shit in a set piece. It was great. You come to a section where there's a squad of Space Marines pinned down because just warp rifts are opening all around them. And on a hill of rubble, you find an Ultramarine chapter banner, and you get the contextual button prompt, Raise the Banner. You hit it, and you now have one hand on the banner. You are stuck in place as this, like, Revolutionary War glorious oil painting collection of Ultramarines stand around you as you, armed only with a pistol, try to keep the unending hordes of demons at bay. When the airship arrives, Chapter Master Calgar in his custom Mark 10 armor with fucking machine gun bolters strapped under each wrist, just like Vietnam chopper sweeps through the thing, drops down. My dick had never been so hard. So fucking loyal.
I'm a greedy bitch. I'm going to explain the next one. The boat fight from Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is so fucking cool, and it is a scope and progression that so many countless games wish they could pull off. You're during the turret segment, you're fighting other boats, then you throw the shit on and you board their asses. There's a whole fucking progression to fighting them off and destroying the ship, then getting back to yours, disembarking from them, and continuing this giant sequence. I love how many different moving elements there are to this. This was, at this point in the game, such an impressive high you never see pulled up in a video game. Please look forward to the next nominee. I'll let someone else describe Titanfight. I yelled a lot about Tekken. I'm giving my throat a rest.
I'm trying to even remember the series of events in the Titan fight, because it was after the huge-ass desert level.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the enormous stone Titan stomping around. You're still sand surfing around the thing, dodging its missile attacks. Then I think you have to, like, direct ship fire to one of its joints to knock it down, board the thing, and as soon as you think, okay, it's time for the really long Shadow of the Colossus, we have to climb the thing segment. No, it's not time for that. It's time for us to hard cut to you being on top of the thing to do the next part of the boss fight.
Yeah, something I always appreciate that they don't want to waste your time in Grand Blue. You get there, you do it, it's cool. Then it's over. Mm-hmm. Then he dies after you did that. When you rip his brain out, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, the part where you're sliding down the arm onto the other part is really impressive and really cool. They took something that in a lot of video games they would have just been dog shit and made it fluid.
Yeah.
Like I think it's to its credit that I have a hard time remembering the specifics of that fight, and I just remember gripping my controller, constantly shouting the word "dope" over and over.
Grand Blue Fantasy Relink really be like that? Okay, gentlemen, I'm gonna be generous and say we get well, actually, no, there's so many. Maybe this is harsh again. Fuck it. We'll go all the way up. Highest votes yet. 5 votes. We're going to start with Bob.
The final boss, Tekken 8. That's too cool. It's way too cool.
Too cool. I say, dying from my erection.
Most of the Astrobot levels. I'm greedy. The boat fight in Grand Blue. Oh my god. Oh, this is hard. I'm down to 1.
Yeah, no, we get 5 votes, and it's still just like, Jesus.
Yeah, all these are really good. Oh my god. I'm going to give it to the final boss of East 10.
Chris.
Ape Escape, the final boss of East 10, Shadow Generations, Titan Fight. I guess I'll give it to the Grendel.
Dr. Aggro.
Raise the banner for the Emperor. The Titan fight from Grand Blue. Uncharted level from Astrobot. I have nothing but faith that the final boss of Tekken 8 was exactly as cool as it sounds.
Cooler.
I mean,
that's the worst part.
that series rarely disappoints.
Correction. That midstream correction.
And I think I'm going to give it to the Grendel.
The Ape Escape level in Astrobot. The final boss of Tekken 8. The boat fight from Grand Blue and the Titan fight from Grand Blue. And now it's hard.
You don't want to vote for the Minnesota Mega Mall?
Well, you didn't vote for it. So.
I know.
It'd be weird if I was like, fuck you, Minnesota. You can kiss my ass. As I'm drifting around the corners. If it was a broad coolness category, I would give it to Shadow Generations over some of the other things.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to give it to the final boss in East 10. Okay, let's sort these votes out and see how it goes. Okay, we've got 4 different things with 3 votes each. That's the Ape Escape level in Astrobot, the final boss in East 10, the final boss in Tekken 8, and the Titan fight from Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. With 2 votes each is the Uncharted level in Astrobot, the Grendel, the boat fight from Grand Blue, and then with 1 vote each, boss fights in Shadow Generations and Raise the Banner from Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Now, I would be satisfied. I can make a top 3 easily from the 3s. I'm okay cutting off everything 2 and below right now. It would save us time.
Yeah, that sounds okay.
Does anyone look at some of the 2s and go, no, you need to come up?
No, I think the top 3 make a good set to vote from.
Yeah, not the 2s.
Are you saying maybe a 1 needs to come up?
I have to state for the record that you're objectively wrong, but I understand that only I have that loyalty in my heart for the God Emperor of Mankind.
Look, maybe if it had been the Primarch, I'd be there with you.
Oh my god. He was back by the time that happened. Yeah, okay. I was going to say you can't just do that in a video game.
Yeah, I think this is specifically set in like the Ultima era or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can bring it up if you want, and we could let people vote for it.
We can let Aggro waste a vote on it.
Right?
I
don't want to bring it up to have it suffer the indignity.
Okay.
That was a really cool moment. I won't say it wasn't.
Right,
Like,
it
that
was a really
definitely
cool
very
moment,
cool.
but I'm looking at this top 4, and there ain't no fucking chance
It's way cooler than the Grendel, though. Let's just be clear. The Grendel is cool conceptually, but playing those parts on one was like, yeah, maybe I should do twice the damage that I'm doing.
I mean, you look like Grimjow, so
right?
maybe.
I don't know, Bob. It sounds like a skill issue that you didn't build up good enough.
I only had 2 of those. You can't even build skills for that thing while I was playing the game.
So let's do a completely savage 2-vote round. We went from 5 to 2.
All right.
We're voting between the Ape Escape level in Astrobot, the final boss of East 10, the final boss of Tekken 8, and the Titan fight from Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Oh shit, why did I say that? Why 2? Oh no. Why did I
regret?
Oh my god, I was like, this will be easy. I'll just... Oh no. Oh shit. Okay, yep, I gotta do this. It's completely savage. This sucks absolute shit. I'm voting for the Ape Escape level in Astrobot and the final boss of Tekken 8. Bob.
I am also doing that. Ape Escape and Tekken 8. Because as cool as that Grand Blue stuff is.
It is so cool!
It is. But Ape Escape is real. It was there.
It was executed so well. It was such a cool moment. Everything about it.
Mm-hmm. And then they made Metal Gear Solid 4 of Tekken battles.
Yeah, that's
insane.
That thing's unspeakably cool. It should walk away with this category, frankly. Dr. Aggro.
You know, sometimes I think that I really missed out not playing Ape Escape when I was younger. And sometimes I think, wow, I don't have that permanent scar on my brain. that unceasing font of sorrow. Titan Fight and Tekken 8.
Chris Wolfhard.
Ape Escape in East 10.
This is interesting.
We can just give it to Tekken. I believe y'all of you.
Oh, yes. No, this isn't a, we're being stupid about this and this is not the text of the moment. No, they put so much fucking money and cool shit into this unceasing battle. It just keeps brutally going nonstop and there's so much fucking anger and lack of relenting. Just like, give up. No. Hour passes. That thing must have been 40 fucking minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was insane.
Insane fight. Cutscene. Move change. Because as Bob was talking about, there's a move set progression the whole time. It is nuts.
See, like, this is why you don't fight a Mishima. You strap him to rockets.
It's true. I'm
safer.
I'm pretty sure that's why we invented rockets. The U.S. government is working with former Nazi rocket scientists to deal with the Mishima problem. So, Chris, you said you're cool with us locking in Tekken 8?
Yeah.
Okay. With that understood, do we want to do a revote on the next 3 with 2 votes each? I think that might be interesting to see.
Do you reckon anything's going to dislodge Ape Escape?
No, but I think we might better find out what third is. So I guess you're saying maybe we should just vote between those then.
Yeah, and just do one vote.
Okay, we'll do that. So this is a vote between the final boss of East 10 and the Titan fight in Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Don't get me wrong. Final boss fight in East 10 is really, really good. My only disappointment is I wish he was that enormously powerful and stayed in the old form. Because I think that shit like that's really cool. But him reverting to become just insanely buff Monster King, who's 12 feet tall, is awesome as shit. That Titan fight is incredible, and genuinely, I wouldn't have believed games could execute anything that well had it not happened. So I'm giving it a Titan fight. Chris.
Yeah, I always love a good 2-on-2, like your equal sides boss fight for the final boss, so I have to give it to East.
Bob.
This is really hard, but I'm going to go with Grand Blue, the Titan fight. Things just got such scale to it.
Aggro.
Thank God. I was really hoping my experience bias wasn't going to be the deciding factor here. Titan fight.
Just to be clear, it's real close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of cool shit games this year. Which is why every time someone's like, oh, what a bad year for games, you just know they have enormously bad taste in games.
Yeah. This year more than ever.
Uh-huh. Because there have been some down years.
There have.
There really have. This was nowhere near. If anything, we had too much of a good thing, specifically in a genre this year.
Specifically in a month this year.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, Fantasian. Well, that's going to be coolest thing in the game goes to the final boss of Tekken 8, followed by the Ape Escape level in Astrobot, the Titan fight from Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and runner-up, the final boss of East 10. What a dope-ass year in video games. Unfortunately, there is a sister category to this category.
Oh, no.
Where there is light, there must also be dark. Dumbest thing in a game.
Oh, okay. We're not doing the sister category. We're doing... Okay, I got you.
Yeah, no, that's next year when we get the Proud Nordics. We're just going to be like, now we can have the sister category.
The sister of the year.
Sister of the year.
I'm sorry. I guess it'd have to be Cartridge this year. There's like not much competitions as far as sisters go.
No, but who knows with Phantom Brave next year and countless other games. We
Yeah.
just got to play more low-end Japanese game slop and we'll get so many sisters.
Need more sisters.
Sister up, gamers. Anyways, this category, dumbest thing in the game, is going to have spoilers for the Alan Wake 2 DLC, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Master Detective Archives Raincode, in Silent Hill, the short message, actually, there are two more, Visions of Mana, what?
Oh my god.
And World of Warcraft, The War Within. These are pretty remarkable spoilers.
They are.
So, beware. The nominees are Diana Marmont from Alan Wake 2 DLC. That dumbest thing in a game, and yet you've written a person.
Sometimes one person can be so dumb.
Okay, well, I'll hear it out.
And we're sure this isn't the sister category.
God damn it. The way Kate Sith goes through vents. The ending of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The pink blood twist in Master Detective Archives Raincoat. I'm so excited. iPhone head from Silent Hill, the short message. Killing yourself is normal, actually, from Visions of Mana. And heroic sacrifice every 4 hours from World of Warcraft, The War Within. Wait a second. These last two are the same thing.
I don't know. The Warcraft one might actually do something meaningful.
That's true. Oof. I've been dying to know since I read a human's name in this category. What's the deal with Diana Marmont? I have not played the Alan Wake 2 DLC. How are they dumbest thing in a game?
See, she's a researcher researching the lake that contains the darkness from Alan Wake 2.
Uh-huh.
So she's doing experiments on what can we do to utilize that darkness.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, already a bad idea.
Yeah, not a great plan.
Okay, her plans involve basically AI generating scripts. So she has an entire room full of typewriters that have automatic typewriting things on top of them.
Uh-huh.
They're just cranking out terrible scripts that are modeled after Alan Wake's writings all day to see if the darkness latches onto any of them.
That's really fucking funny.
Yes, that's enormously funny.
Yes. Mm-hmm. She also hires other writers to try and emulate the Alan Wake's style. And they turn in things that are clearly like highly influenced by the darkness. And she reads them and is like, I don't know why they wrote this. Why is this about me? Because it's literally about her and her husband. It's like, yo, how stupid are you?
Wow. Aggro, any comments before we move on?
No, he's pretty much got it.
Chris, I believe you nominated The Way Kate Sith Goes Through Vents.
Inexplicably, he fucking like spin dashes. He just rolls.
It's very funny.
The entire
you
way.
You could put the Sonic the Hedgehog spin dash sound over it, and it would perfectly work.
Except
like
he's
the
a lot
whole thing, or
slower.
like just the cat part.
So, okay, one, just the cat part. Two, Aggro, the camera is perfectly locked in a foot behind you as you do this. Super close cam on Kate Sith, rolling like Sonic almost. And when you go 90 degrees upward, downward, leftward, or rightward, it just snaps the camera to keep following you. It's almost like the world itself is turning.
Fantastic.
It's also very funny that his mobility thing is just him rolling, and the game pops up with a tutorial that's like, when you run as Kate Sith, you're rolling, and if you hit a thing, you will stop moving.
I forgot about that.
Like, what a weird pop-up. It's like, just so you know, his main ability is running into shit and then having to collect his shit again.
Yes, it's supposed to be like that. No, it's not broken. Stop asking.
It's fucking hilarious that there had to be work they put into that to make it do that.
Yes, and they had to have had a playtest to be like, what's happening? Why is he doing this?
We'll explain to them that we think this is hilarious, and so they're dealing with that now. Okay, how do we do that? The tutorial screen. Excuse me? For running? Yes, sir. That game's very weird in that it has like tutorial pop-ups like that the whole way, end to end. Just because it's constantly pulling in a new mechanic.
Xenoblade, like in that way.
That's true. That is very true. Very different sort of things they bring in.
Right, because Xenoblade brings in mechanic to stay around, whereas Final Fantasy's much more like, no, this is for one thing.
It's like you took an internship at a new job every so often. That's what it feels like in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
You learn about vacuuming now.
I take no joy in this nomination at all. As people know, I'm well versed in Kingdom Hearts, and I really enjoy Kingdom Hearts. And for people who are into Kingdom Hearts, you probably know exactly what I'm referencing then when I say the ending of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLCing the death of Aerith to make it 3 distinct timelines all at the same time. There's no rewinding of time, but people are in different timelines crossing over to fight Jenova/Sephiroth all at the same time. There are so many moments, and this is right after Aerith is stabbed, and they're playing sad music at first. They took one of the most impactful moments in gaming and just went, what if I went way up my own ass with the writing? And I'm like, this is such a tragic moment. I enjoy so much in this game that isn't the mainline gameplay. Like the open world stuff, they write so many funny, beautiful, characterizing moments, just like they did in Remake, for so many of the side characters. And then they did this with the ending. Wow.
This is the biggest problem with this remake project, is they obviously feel like they need to do something big and insane for the end of each one.
And they don't.
Yeah,
and they not only do they don't, but I have no reason to think any of the shit that happened in this ending is real or will matter, because it wasn't the last time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna here's some fucking harsh truth, Square Enix fans. There's not multiple Sephiroths. There's not multiple fucking Aeriths. They're going to do the plot beats of Final Fantasy VII Final Fantasy VII 1-to-1. They're just gonna bolt this additional context on top of it, like, without actually changing what happens. And I feel like they perfectly threaded the needle to make the least amount of people happy. Like, if they had deviated more and done an Ava rebuild thing, that would piss off some people, but it would make other people happy. And if they had just kept it completely 1-to-1, that would have annoyed people who maybe wanted something more than just an expanded version of Final Fantasy VII, but it would have made the purists happy. They tried to have both at once, and I think satisfied neither.
Yeah, I genuinely would have been like, to be clear, people who actually remember what I said about Remake, I don't think the Time Ghost metaphor analogy and the way it interacts with the idea of a remake is an incredibly brilliant move, and I do think that pulls away from the core story of Final Fantasy VII. So I didn't enjoy that as part of an ending there. But it is so much infinitely worse to me to have a second faction of Time Ghosts that are made by the planet and the live stream to fight the Time Ghosts that are evil, that are from the first game, that are now under the command, distinctly, they say this, under the command of Sephiroth, which in the first game, until Sephiroth at the end of the first game, they are trying to make you hew to the timeline, which is not what Sephiroth wants. In this, they're now Sephiroth's Time Ghosts. Sometimes the ghosts of the planet are timeliney, maybe they're not. The actions of both factions of ghosts by the end, as they do literally ghost battles in front of you, is so convoluted and, well, do you want me to do the thing or not? It is a mess. And they genuinely just did this to one of the emotional core of this game. I was such a big fan of 7 Rebirth. At the opera scene, at the Loveless scene.
Mm-hmm.
That made me feel feelings I haven't had with a Final Fantasy in a very long time. It made me feel like the PS1 era of this cutscene in this video game is showing a beautiful moment that isn't just anime people doing cool sword battle, explosion, monster, big, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cool that they put that much effort into a production that was a beautiful play. And by the ending of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it had done all goodwill that moment had. Because they play that song. Aggro, I know you don't give one fuck.
You can't even begin to explain it to somebody who doesn't
You
know.
literally...
Like, it's impossible.
It is impossible. I know because I've been tasked with doing it 3 times this week.
Completely impenetrable thing they did.
But they play this song. They play this song from the Loveless moment. This moment I love so much as they do this beautiful play on stage. And Aerith wrote a song and she performs it and has these beautiful moments. They play this song again during the moment where it's revealed Aerith is a Force ghost who quantum exists for Cloud, but no one else because she died. But
maybe.
Didn't.
If she appears at all in the next game, if they just don't completely ignore that, or if he's not just fucking crazy.
Right. I'm worried we're going with he's just fucking crazy. And I'm like, you didn't really do that in a way that's especially compelling.
Yeah,
because
I
that's
assume
valid
is
as an idea. It truly is valid to be like, this remake's idea is investigating the psychosis and mental breakdown of Cloud on an intimate level that just makes you uncomfortable. I don't think they nailed that with all the stuff they're doing. Because the time ghost metaphor doesn't make any sense in that context. Because they clearly know what things do and do not happen. And they do influence real life things that Cloud is not there to see. Mm-hmm. If that is ultimately the twist of the remake trilogy, it no longer makes sense.
I really do think a lot of it was just we needed a big epic ending.
Yes, 100%.
Which is dumb.
And it's like, after the first game where they don't deviate from the plot in this game from the plot of Final Fantasy VII at all. Like, they bolt other timelines you phase into to look at for a little bit onto it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But nothing different actually happens. So I can't go into that third one going, well, that'll be the one where they change all the things. Like, I don't think it's going to be. The fact they didn't deviate a single fucking bit.
Yeah, they made this whole weird purgatory dimension that seems like just pointless. Like, it can't affect the real world, so it's just there so we can have Zack.
And then they can't throw away Zack either. When he defeats the Sephiroth that was there, he just drops into the white void for presumably them to pull him out in the next game again.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it just feels rotten that no one can fully die in a game whose core theme was the sacrifice of Aerith. A girl literally named Earth.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's like I thought it was a cool set piece, but at the same time, it's like, guys, I can't be hyped for any of this because I have no reason to think you're going to commit to any of it.
Yes.
Like, the most I can think is maybe we'll have like the Zack set, like the Zack, what's the word? Like, when between parts of a movie in a theater. Intermissions. Like the Zack intermissions in this game. Like, maybe we'll have that on the Aerith doesn't die timeline. Like, maybe they'll be that, like, you'll go to a town and then you'll do it with her dead and everybody's mopey, and then with her alive and everybody's fine. But I can't even be sure of that.
Yeah, I assume we're just going to, they kind of ignore it.
And also, like, the sequence, the fight itself is just borrowing a lot of stuff from the actual final fight of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Which means they now need to invent something bigger and betterer for next time. And that,
which they were already.
How this went in that, I'm just not.
Yeah, they shouldn't invent the first one as a Sephiroth fight. They shouldn't have done it again. Why did they do this?
I don't know why they did it again. Like, that, it already ends with a Genova fight.
Yeah, which, originally that Genova fight is not a huge task.
Mm-hmm.
So it being this super galactic, everyone's fighting in unison across 3 different levels, like, because you split your team into 3 and they're fighting on 3 different platforms, blah, 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 blah. is insanely overshadowing the core of the moment as it should be.
Yeah, no, it really ruins the moment. Like, man, Empire Strikes Back, notable movie that ends on a down note.
Yeah.
It doesn't end with some cool epic fight. It ends with the main character getting owned and kicked out a window.
More things
Yeah,
should end like that.
I think, like, again, this of course always has the problem that maybe they can land the plane perfectly, and I'll recant all this, but it's like, you should have fucking picked one. Do you want to deviate, or do you want it to be exactly the same? I feel like they accidentally made the video game equivalent of when you go to the movies with extended family and nobody can decide what movie they want to see, so you see something nobody wants to see, but nobody is opposed to.
Yeah, it's really
like,
bizarre.
I feel like that's where they ended up.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I would be down with the different timeline. I would be down with the different idea. It feels like this ending perfectly nailed every last possibility of what you could do was poisoned by the other ones all at once.
Yeah.
Aerith's death isn't tragic. Her quantum being alive is neither her being alive nor dead. There's no interesting things done with the purgatory. The passing of the white materia from purgatory back to the real world was an esoteric thing and how it functioned and affected the timeline. And the very end of this game, Cloud's like, Aerith, are you going to come? And she's like, no, I'm going to stay here and pray to keep the meteor away because we use the black materia. I'm like, that didn't happen. You didn't do that. The game named Final Fantasy VII did that by this point of the timeline, but you didn't.
No, it didn't actually, because Sephiroth didn't use the meteor until the black materia until later. I think that the Aerith he is seeing at the end is him being insane.
Right.
Specifically, because it ends with him going, now I'll take the black materia to Sephiroth, and he puts it in his sword.
Yeah, he does do that, and it does a cool nanite, like San Francisco style, like weird box and nanite tech thing, and it looks very cool.
So no one can see that it's in his sword.
They can't see it. It is his Buster sword now.
But yeah, I
it's
think
just
most
weird
people
that she's like literally saying that is what I'm saying, right? Like that event didn't occur, so she can't do that. So I don't even know why a crazy Cloud would imagine her doing that.
Well, because he's really nuts.
I'm just gonna sit here.
Future sight.
He does have that part where he impales Tifa.
He tries. She falls off.
Oh yeah, she tries. She falls off. So,
Which is funny because when they recount that later, the way he calls it is he's like, "Oh, I pushed you off the ledge," and it's like that's not what happened. You fucking tried to impale this bitch, and she was like, "Oh fuck."
But yeah, I think pretty much everybody would probably have been happier if they had picked one of the two lanes and
100%
gone with it instead of this weird middle ground where they want to have their cake and eat it too. So nobody is truly satisfied. Like, I expected there to be so many more deviations. The fucking end of the first game remake is you killing Destiny.
Yeah.
That's what it was
and
sold
then it's
as,
like,
yeah.
well, that's what it was fucking sold as. So I can't trust that any of the shit in this really matters. Like, it's not like I assume that what will happen is we will do all the events of the rest of Final Fantasy VII 1-to-1. You will have these intermissions where they show things that add additional context to what is happening without actually altering what is happening. And then maybe the very end will have something totally different.
Yep.
So
it's again,
like
for a third time in a row.
Yeah, like
it's getting old.
Like Final Fantasy VII is approaching my favorite game ever. And I was really down for the Ava rebuilds of Final Fantasy VII. And I don't know what made them decide to go this specific route, whether it was they couldn't decide internally. Management wanted it to be more straightforward, and instead of accepting that, they pushed back as much as they could. They just decided that making nobody really satisfied was the best route. But
there could be the other option of like the writers think this is good enough. Like this is somehow their vision, which seems crazy.
I mean, again, the ending does have smackings of Remind's ending, where just trying to describe with words what occurred is an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I wish they'd have picked one road or the other instead of trying to fucking hack their way through the wilderness for the benefit of pretty much nobody.
The weirdest thing about this is, like, the Ava Rebuild comparison makes sense because of what both projects endeavored to do. But the problem is that in the Ava Rebuild films, it's like the first one and first two, retell the story of Ava. And then they feel like a split timeline where a thing just went differently at some point, right? Mm-hmm. And that magnified into a drastically different thing. This isn't that increasingly.
No.
The ending of Remake didn't make this a different thing than what happened in the middle of like 7.
Yeah, no. Not at all.
And don't fucking comment in the comments going, the Ultimania guide. Fuck the Ultimania guide. They write that shit after the fact. If it's not in the game, I don't care, because try and fucking follow my logic here. It's not in the fucking game.
It turns out there's a lot actually in the game.
There is.
So much that I don't need to worry about some guide.
Like, I don't care that the guide says there's 8 different Sephiroths and 3 Aeriths. No, there's not. Guess what? If you only ever see one Sephiroth at a time, nobody ever suggests the idea there's 2 Sephiroths, and nobody ever goes, this doesn't make any sense. What's going on? Then there's only fucking one Sephiroth.
Yeah, no, they are cowards for not having multiple Sephiroths. They are absolute cowards.
Excuse me, what about 8 Sephiroths? It said what? It said what?
I'm using, this is hyperbole.
I didn't know that there was even any remote commentary on okay, but it didn't literally say anything like
Well, I think the Ultimania guy does try to imply there's multiple Sephiroths and multiple Aeriths, like, running around the time stream, but it's like, none of that's in the game, so I don't care.
Wow, okay. All right.
You should put it in the game if you wanted me to give a shit about it.
I didn't know that was the thing. Anyways.
Yeah.
I think Aggro has been subjected to the radiation chamber of having to listen to us try to describe what's happening here and how it felt. Long enough. The audience members who don't know probably don't care.
Yeah.
The audience members who do know and do care are probably angry. I think we can move on. We've successfully made everyone arrive at their inevitable emotional conclusion of this nomination. And I really don't want to stay here any longer. But I didn't even get to talk about Zach's decision to go to the Sector 6 reactor versus getting the cure for Cloud, and how it's just like, there's no point in making the choice. The choice doesn't matter. What does that mean? Choices are meaningless. What is this thematically? I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Sorry, I started doing it again. Anyways, Chris, the next one's you.
Okay, the pink blood twist in Master Detective Archives Raincode. In Danganronpa, the blood in the game is pink. Kodaka calls it Psycho Pop. It's an aesthetic choice and also probably one to get the game a lower rating, because you regularly find corpses completely splattered in blood. This continues in Master Detective Archives Raincode. And then they reveal in the very end of the game, the twist of the game is this shut-off city you go to, where it's very hard to get in or out because it's entirely run by, like, a private corporation that runs it like a state. They're all homunculi produced with science. They are duplicates of all the people who originally lived here and have their memories. It's called Raincode because they set up a rain machine because sunlight makes them go fucking berserk.
What?
And the big mystery of the game is they did this, they cloned the entire city, then they didn't know about the sun thing, so everybody went insane and killed all the normal humans. So then they just covered this up and all the people think they're the originals.
Why'd they make clones of everyone before the people died? What?
The military wanted them to. The military's like, produce clone soldiers for us.
Not like of one guy, like of every different person in the city.
Yes, they were doing it for research purposes.
This sounds really dumb.
That's not the dumb part.
That was the smart part. Can you fucking settle down?
The dumb part is they reveal that no, the blood isn't pink for stylistic reasons. Homunculi just have pink blood. To which I go, motherfucker, none of the main characters in this game are homunculi. They're detectives from outside the city. Why do none of them in the entire game go, why is their fucking blood pink?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, that's insane.
That doesn't make any sense.
And they spend like 20 minutes after this twist justifying it. It's like, well, this thing that we didn't really go into earlier in the game implies that the rain does something, and it was so stressful, nobody really thought about it.
What?
Like, yeah, it sucks. I was incensed. It is fucking unbelievably stupid. It made a game that I already wasn't very hot on. I think it kind of has a bad structure and not the best character writing that Kodaka has done. Unbelievably stupid.
I'm sorry you went through that. Genuinely.
Like, this is the kind of thing that is clever if you don't think about it at all. And it's never a good twist when you have to justify it after the fact, going, it makes sense, it makes sense, it makes sense, it makes sense. Every single thing that you think why it doesn't make sense, here's why it actually does make sense. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Like, you can't even argue that, well, the main character has, like, magically induced amnesia, so he forgot that blood was red, because even he notes that, yeah, when I cut myself earlier, why didn't I notice that it was so weird that all these corpses spewed out pink blood? And even if he's a dipshit, other characters who aren't dipshits saw the fucking blood. They saw corpses.
This is really bad.
And also, yeah, it's really bad, especially when you take into account all the people in the city also know blood isn't supposed to be fucking pink. And they just brush over it with like, well, the corporation said something in the rain does something to our bodies. Whatever.
That's absolutely hilarious. And no one talks about it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh my god.
Nobody played this game. Not in America, anyway, because it was a Switch exclusive at launch. And when you delay a game for a year to get onto other platforms, it just doesn't do good when it comes off those platforms, unless it's coming off of the Epic Game Store.
Not a platform, by the way.
But yeah, it's real dumb.
It sounds it.
I guess I can also explain iPhone Head.
Didn't you do that in Armchair Devs?
Yeah, and they put it into a game. They did not actually put it into a game. It is merely graffiti, because Silent Hill: The Short Message is about cyberbullying. So, and then you find out that, like, the main character drove her classmate to suicide through cyberbullying, and so one of the things on the walls is like is iPhone Head. It's really stupid. What a terrible thing that they shouldn't have shipped at all.
But this was like a comedy beat, right?
No. But it was the moment where you go, oh, this isn't going to get better. Uh-oh.
So it's ironic, but not comedic. This is our lowest moment. Has it occurred to you that if you didn't do that Armchair Dev speech, pitch, you wouldn't have brought this horror into this world?
No, I still probably. I don't believe that I can speak things into reality that acutely.
Kodaka has some thoughts on this. So Aggro, do you want to talk about the Visions of Mana thing? Because I feel like
I don't think he saw when it got full.
I mean, that's true. It really hits its fever pitch when you get to the very end of Visions of Mana.
Yeah, and then they declare that the sacrifices were all worth it because they decided they were.
In the game Visions of Mana, the society has been normalized to sacrificing a person, usually in their prime for no reason, every year.
7 people.
Yes. From each of these villages.
Mm-hmm.
They each send their own person in their prime basically every time to the mana tree to sacrifice themselves. Because that's how we make the mana flow. But it turns out, really, we're doing this to fight the curse of the angriest man in history, whose sheer hatred of the mana tree is destroying the world and bringing it back to Badons. It's not working, and they just go, well, we gotta keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta keep doing it. It'll work out eventually. We'll just keep mulching our fucking population. And the moment somebody doesn't send someone, they destroy the whole village. Allegedly, the curse does it. But that doesn't...
Yeah, the only way it actually makes sense is if this guardian spirit just is like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to kill everyone in the village right now.
Yeah.
That's the only way it makes any sense.
And they don't argue that they didn't do that at any point.
No.
That
They just
is
talk
brought
around
up
it.
in front of them, and they do not argue against it once ever. So really, the dumbest thing in a game is Visions of Mana being like, killing yourself is noble, actually.
Because it's, oh God, it's not even like, oh no, I have to make this great sacrifice, but I'm willing to do it for the good of the village. It's, oh shit, I get to go 86 myself at a tree? Fuck yeah.
There's this element of it like you get to leave, but they don't really go into that at all. Like there's this implication that, yeah, people basically never leave where they're born unless you're one of these sacrifices.
Right. That's the only way you can actually travel the world.
Travel the world and then realize, wait a second, life's worth living for, and then get dragged to your fucking sacrifice.
Yeah, it's not thought out in any regard. I really hope that somebody eventually we get some kind of expose on what the fuck happened.
Yeah,
Turns
because it feels like that was the plot was going very much in the direction of this is bad. We need to never do this
Yeah,
again.
it felt like it was going in the Final Fantasy X direction.
And then it just doesn't.
And then it just doesn't.
And all the main characters like, no, it was really cool actually, and we're totally willing to do it.
But it totally, like, it doesn't even feel like it was actually going for the Final Fantasy X thing, because the whole thing in Final Fantasy X is like, the whole world has this weird, almost delusional reputation, like, association with death, relationship with death, because there's a big fucking monster that will just show up and wipe out a town, and the only way to stop it is for you to kill yourself. But this doesn't have any of that. It's just this vague, well, it causes some kind of shit. Like, we never really see the ramifications of the sacrifice not happening. We find the empty town, which I guess is empty because everybody turned into those golems, which again never explained, never even brought up again. Like they don't even give a throwaway line for it.
Yeah, it's terrible. Absolutely rancid. Oh, and I guess the next nomination is Heroic Sacrifice every 4 hours. We really got a theme at the end here.
Yeah.
What's the deal with this, Chris?
So at the end of every zone in World of Warcraft, the war within, someone sacrifices themselves heroically. Every single one. That seems to be the only way they know how to end the story of a micro story inside their campaign. Which people have told me, like, yeah, that's every single fucking World of Warcraft expansion, my man, for like the last 4 of them.
Wow.
Are they always wearing a red shirt?
No, in fact, 2 of them in this one are really important characters, but then they didn't actually die.
Oh my god.
It's really fucking bizarre. And when you do multiple of these zones in one session, it's like, why'd you write that?
Well, we did it. We finally made it to the end of the nominations.
Wow.
Wow. And explaining them, not even voting on them. 3 votes. Do you think you could do it, gentlemen?
Of course.
Yeah, I can do it.
I'm giving my first vote to the ending of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I said enough. That's enough. Visions of Mana for its insane theme of killing yourself is noble, actually, even though it really wasn't working. It wasn't a good plan, and they keep taking people in their prime, even though they never explained that there's...
Yeah, no, we have stories of, oh yeah, sometimes they take it like a 50-year-old guy. It's like, then why are all of us like 15? What are you doing?
Yeah, and some of them are like their greatest warriors.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no, it's really stupid. It's insanely stupid.
It is so bad. And then the final vote's going to have to go to that pink blood twist, because holy crap. This is unreal.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
And now I let Chris go. 3 votes.
Pink blood. Killing yourself is noble. iPhone head.
Bob.
The end of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Killing yourself is noble. I'm really torn between Diana Marmont and the pink blood twist.
It's pretty bad.
It is really bad.
I feel like we have another category that you should probably put Diana Marmont's plan into.
You are right.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Well, I'm put it on pink blood. That's... How do you write that?
Aggro, it's your turn.
I have so much trouble accepting that pink blood happened the way Chris is describing, so I'm going to vote for it as an act of faith.
It happened exactly. You can go watch the fucking VOD. I streamed that entire game.
Visions of Mana. And I guess if you want to be specific, killing yourself is noble. An iPhone head.
So we have 2 ties. The Pink Blood Twist and Killing Yourself is Noble. 4 votes each. And the ending of 7 Rebirth and iPhone Head. 2 votes each. Here's the problem. While we can decide between the 2 first places,
Uh-huh.
how about we do that first? We'll just, one step at a time.
Killing yourself. Visions of Mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I brought Pink Blood, and I'm saying Visions of Mana. That upset me way more on a macro level.
Oh, yeah. No, like, they forgot to write or didn't have time to make the part of that game that delivered on any of the ideas of that game, so that it just ends with, and it was fine, and me and the tree get to live forever because she's into me, and that's why part of her was the girl I was in love with, or the girl I was in love with is now part of the tree. Unclear. Anyways, that was noble.
That was novel.
Like at the end of the day, the Pink Blood Twist is really fucking stupid, but you could completely remove it from that game and it wouldn't change what happened because you find a fucking text log explaining everything immediately after anyway. It's not a thing, it's not like a reveal that solves the puzzle. It's just, wouldn't it be cool if this thing that you thought was just stylization actually mattered?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they threw a thing down on top of that to make a new twist, and it was seemingly completely unnecessary, and then just raises a million questions that are obviously, well, that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the answer to them. Well, with first place and second place solved, we now need to figure out third place. I very firmly throw all of my weight into 7 Rebirth ending.
Like iPhone Head, like, yeah, that's just a dumb thing in a Silent Hill game. I don't know. That doesn't even seem that extraordinary compared to the ending of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
I mean, the complexity of how much they fucked up this ending to have these timeline things that ultimately seemingly won't matter at all because they sure didn't have an effect that last time to this time.
Yeah,
is so upsetting and disappointing.
That cryptic nonsense Sephiroth says of like 7 seconds left to the end, what do you do?
7 seconds to midnight.
To midnight.
What will you do with it?
He says in this game, oh, that didn't mean anything. I was just screwing with you.
Yeah, it's really weird when he walks you through
Yeah.
the slideshow of all the events of the different timelines and 7, and then that's his 7 remake specifically, and that was his comment sort of near that, where it's just, what?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was just like, man, I didn't realize you just weren't cooking. But I guess you were.
Yeah, that was really like the moment when I realized, like, oh, nothing different is actually going to happen, probably.
Yeah, and that's really disappointing.
Like, and if it does, it'll be the very, very, very end. Like, there aren't even like minor differences.
Here's my stance on this, okay? Even if the third game is drastically different, which I need to stress, it needs to be. Because no one wants it to have been the story of Final Fantasy VII with these weird masturbatory excursions in the middle that meant nothing. It will still be deeply frustrating.
Yeah, it has to act. It really has to deliver on like those had a point.
Yeah, and this was the time it was supposed to deliver on the things from the first game or anything, right?
Yeah, it just kind of did. It feels almost Abrams-esque.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
We're putting these mystery boxes in. We're not sure what they are yet.
Which is what I accused them of, and then it's just like, oh wow, that's just how it is.
And it's happening over and I cannot stress this enough. This happened on top of one of the most impactful moments in gaming.
Uh-huh.
Sincerely, Aerith's death is one of the most impactful moments in all of gaming history. And they're doing this on top of it. It's nuts.
Yeah, you couldn't just have a cool boss fight happen before it and then still do the moment. No. It had to be literally in it.
And you can't have an abrupt twist that leads to it that catches me off guard.
No.
You need to do a whole hour of jerking off with the timeline and Zack and Cloud and this date in purgatory, passing the materia. It's so many layers of like, you could have done this so many other ways, and I would have appreciated so much more. But you literally nailed this perfectly feeling awful to do right here, right now, for this long.
Yeah, like it doesn't cash the check that the first game writes at all.
At one moment in the ending, I genuinely thought maybe Zack and Cloud will swap places.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing for the next game.
It feels like they were like, well, we can't just make it an expanded remake for whatever reason, but if we deviate, we also want it to fulfill the shape of a remake. It's like, it can't be both. It cannot be both. You made, like, people who didn't play the original are just going to be perplexed by these.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
100%. I had a friend. They hadn't played Final Fantasy VII. They played Remake because they thought it was a remake of Final Fantasy VII. They were just lost.
Yeah, and that's what they do, which is so dumb. Like, how did... Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. We can just...
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into it.
That's the thing. Like, I cannot stress that this single point in the ending of this, because Aggro, we really mean it. There was an excursion a few times to go see what Zach was up to in Purgatory.
In another timeline, yeah.
The timeline where some of the people didn't die and some of them did.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, we don't even get a good idea of, like, what made the timeline deviate in that.
Or if that
in that
timeline's
timeline,
real
like,
in any way.
It's just 10 minutes every several, maybe even dozen hours. Like a dozen hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah, there's not very much of it.
No.
And then this ending just drops on you. Anyways, we've said enough. That's enough. I'm cutting us off from talking about this anymore. I really need that to be third. I cannot let it be runner-up.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Let it be third. I don't give a shit.
That guy's head is a phone, though.
That is pretty dumb.
I didn't even have that much of a problem with the ending, but I'll throw in with the ending. I'll throw in with Rebirth just because I was sitting at, like, in the days after beating, I'm like, you didn't deviate at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't think that's inherently bad, but you have to pick one or the other.
Yes.
Stapling on this, like, meta narrative atop it that you're viewing the original through is strange. And I can't imagine there anybody who wouldn't have been happier with one of the two other options.
100%. And that's how I feel about it too. I don't need it to hew to the original. I love the ever rebuilds.
Mm-hmm.
I do need it to have a point and to do a thing and to follow through on that thing. Because even what Remake already didn't matter.
Yeah.
And maybe they're like, well, we can't massively make the first two deviate, to which my point is, maybe you should have reevaluated this project then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In no world, honestly, this should not have been 3 games. That has ruined their company. But we don't need to get into that. This is just random.
Dumbest thing in the game.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing in the game.
And we've locked it in. And I stress when I say I had no joy in any of that discussion. I had more joy in talking about Visions of Mana's fucking core thesis is the dumbest shit in the game.
Yes.
Which it is, by the way. It's the dumbest thing in the game this year. That got locked in at number 1. Number 2 is the pink blood twist in Master Detective Archive Raincode. Seemingly, everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay, then we're going to lock it in. Killing Yourself is Noble from Visions of Mana. The pink blood twist from Master Detective Archive Raincode. God, that is a hard name. The ending of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in third. And runner-up, iPhone Head. Sorry, iPhone Head, in an easier year, you would have really been a strong contender. I swear if this happened 2 years ago, maybe 3, probably would have done it.
There were some unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah. Well, this brings us to our final category for the night. Most pronounceable name. And the winner is Kate Sith. The executive producers for this GigaBoots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.